Good lord. Okay, up we go. This is it. This is the time to shine. To shine. To shine! No! Fuck! Fucking thing sucks. Fuck! My microphone was off. I'm back with a cat. That's not for you, buddy. You're gonna sit on my mouse? Let's try this again. Okay, so we're here. I might extend this out a bit more. Oh no. Blue. Oh. Hey, did it. Look at me go. Fabrication. I need fabrication plan. Oh, I can come in here anyway. Look at that, we got another weapon upgrade kit. Utilities. Download area map. Downloading it. Okay, so I'm here. And we need to... Oh, we still need to be on this level, which is good. But I can turn on or off power. I'm not sure what those wanting to. No. God.
That got me. I was confused. Hey Scotch, how you doing? I had no idea. I had it there. No, I had it there. It's oh my god. Fucking hell. It's your walk on, Scotchy.
What was that? Ow. See you, Fives. Thanks for dropping in. Oh. Hey. Nice.
I don't trust you.
Stop, just go through.
Is she?
Okay, I'm going through.
What is this? Hello, everyone.
No, I hate you.
How are we doing? Oh no, I forgot how to do things. What am I doing? Where am I going? You're joking. There we go. Hey, everyone. How are we doing? How is everyone going? Tuesday. Here we got Rolky, Mandy, Janthos, Criffy, Fishy, Zuna, the gang. Fresh head. Fresh head. I did shave a couple. Ad break in a minute. Oh, what? Zuna, my mod. Could you snooze ads that are apparently in a minute?
Once I figure out how to do that. Sure, hold on.
Please. Bald. Wait. Fuck. Hello. Cutie patootie. Stop it, Mandy. No hat mods. No hat today. The we moved house, and the room that we're in, we've got both computers in the room, and it's a little bit warm. I didn't want to wear a hat, so I still sound sickly. It's all nasal. All nasal. Apart from that, I'm fine. Unlike someone Zuna. Zuna's next to me. 2 arm lengths away this side. Oh, hey Meals, how we doing? Welcome in. We didn't snooze the ad.
I don't know.
Zuna doesn't know how to do it. Fishy. Also, Fishy, thank you for fucking subbing for 3 months in advance. What? And then also gifting to Mandy. How dare? Amazing, but how dare you? Fishy, the mortgage money, no! I am peeking in the red a little bit. Let's bring that bad boy a little smooch down. I don't wanna peek in the red. No peeking. Fresh peaks. Fresh peaks. Hello everybody. It's been a while. Obviously wanted to stream sooner. That didn't happen. Because we moved in and then I immediately got sick with the wet lung, the pneumonias. So I couldn't. And that was for about a monthish, 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Damp lung. But yeah, no, we moved. We still got a couple boxes unpacked. But overall, we've unpacked quite a lot. We've unpacked, and I'm in a room. I'm no longer in the living room. No longer in the living room. No longer in the kitchen. You don't see the kitchen no more, which is exciting. And yeah, you get to see some goodies back here. We actually got some new Govee lights to lighten up a couple of the shelves, which is exciting. Yes, no, I was on a lot of drugs. 2 weeks on no drugs. Yeah, I wasn't on. Mandy, stop it. Stop it, Mandy. Thank you for gifting to Criffy. You're all too lovely. All too lovely. But you know, I was also, hello, Mitch. How you doing? Is that the Marty? Look at the handsome man on my screen. Stop it. I'm sure you're just looking in the mirror, Mitch. But yeah, no, 2 weeks on no drugs. Yeah, no, I thought it was just a cough, so I didn't do anything. And I was like, I'm just a coughing little boy. Zuna was like, go to the doctors. And I was like, no, I'm just a coughing. Anyway, if I didn't go to the doctors, I would have been in a coffin. Oh, why aren't you laughing? That was funny. Laugh. Anyway, but no, I went to the doctors and yeah, no, early pneumonia. Don't know how I got it. Don't know how I got it. Back from Agile. Yeah, no, we don't know how to snooze ads. Don't know how to snooze ads.
No. Screenshot. You haven't given me the power to do it.
You haven't got the power. You're my lead mod. Whatever. This place is a prison. You've put me in a prison, Zuna. But no, I'm better. Meals, thank you for asking. How are you? I've just got over early pneumonia. Yeah, doing well. I know it's fine to spend the mortgage money. Okay, if you've noticed. Guys, you don't need to spend any mortgage money on me. Don't do it. Apparently it wasn't okay, Mandy shaking me. Glad you didn't die, Marty. Yeah, look, I don't think I was ever going to, but there were days where I definitely felt like it was going to get worse. But then it kind of got worse after I was on the 10 pills a day. They wanted to really aggressively get it. And then, yeah, I came out fine, but it got like really bad. Yeah, no, we're all G. And now we're in the new place. Chip is happier. I need another camera for Chip, I think. I don't know where I'm going to put it. But he currently just likes being upside down on the floor quite a lot and running. He's got a lot of room to run. Hello, come here. Yeah. Okay. What a position. I'm pretty sure my hand touches butt, so. Oh well. You know, they don't fuck around, Crippy. They don't fuck around at all with pneumonia. Basically, if the doctor was pretty concerned that if I didn't get on top of it with the drugs and they were going to get worse. Why does Danger Dan want to collaborate? No, that's not happening. Decline. Something went wrong. Oh, God. I don't know what the fuck happened there. Yeah. Thank you for subscribing. You know, okay, whatever. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. But you know, if I didn't get better, the doctor basically said, it's gonna be a one-way trip to the ICU, and if you don't get better, so anyway, much better than late pneumonia. And yeah, no, it's much better. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Health has been a bit trash, but we're getting there. Meals, I hope everything's okay. I haven't popped into your streams as much. There is days there where I am lurking. So, hey Jetta, how we doing? Yep, chip. Hey Zach, how we doing? Marty, will you be getting pneumonia every Monday to keep this a thing? Fuck. I could try to get pneumonia. Not sure if Zuna would like that, but I can. Oh, she's nodding. Okay. Where's the cunting hat? It's sleeping, Dan. Taking a little bit of a break. Sleepy. Oh, glad you didn't end up on the cold slab. Doomies, hello. Welcome in. Close to. Okay, regular Tuesday streams. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Not if I get pneumonia every Monday, Tuesday. Whatever, man. Dan, don't be like that. Don't you have a stream to get prepared for, mate? Aren't you streaming in like an hour and a half? That's like soon for you, because you take ages to do anything. Anyway. Yeah, in about an hour. Don't worry about it. Yeah, okay, I won't. Thanks, Dan. Dan needs his pre-stream poop. Need to express his one that he is on before stream. Oh, that's true. Yes, Rolkus. Yes. 2 streams. Can I get a mod real quick? No. Don't do it, Zuna. Don't give him mod. Fuck. No. Stop. I don't like this. This place is a prison. Just mod. This seems like a trap. I won't allow it. I won't allow it at all. It's good to see you as well, Zach. It's good to be back. I was just saying that I wanted to stream a bit earlier, but I couldn't. So here we are. And I was I think here everything's looking a little bit cleaner, smoother. I don't know. I think because in the last place, things didn't look as clear. I don't know. Shit's looking clearer. That's all I'm saying. Is Post Pneumonia Tuesdays going to be a series? Welcome in, Hatton. Maybe. Is this a new camera? No. I had this camera at the old place, but it was. I don't think it was ever this clear. And I have a feeling it's because of the lighting and then the new lights at the back. I don't know. It seems to be working. Yeah, new lighting. Yeah. Let's get any amount of lurkies are very much appreciated. Having to move house and also pneumonia sounds like literal hell. Yeah. Thankfully, I had the pneumonia after I moved house. I think if I had it during moving house, it would have just, I don't know. I don't know what we would have done. It's the shaved head reflecting better. It's not freshly shaved, though. So I don't know what you're talking about, Fish. There's at least like 5 o'clock shadow on it. Duna, disappointed in your decision to obey the tyrant. Wait. What'd you do? What happened? Oh my god, I just saw it. Zuna, no. This is mod abuse. Don't worry, Rolkus. I'll get her. I'll get her. Just rude. It's just rude, you know? I thought I could trust you, and here you are abusing your powers. For the devil. Oh, don't be like that. Don't be, I'm sick. I do like the fresh shaved look. Yeah, I also got a, so in the old place, I had I got a Remington head shaver, and apparently it was like really, you know, well reviewed. Anyway, I got it, and it just wasn't. It didn't do the best, and it always ran out of battery. Anyway, I got a new one from Manscaped, and oh boy, is it good. So yeah, it took me a while to find a good Manscaped's. Whatever. No, Dan. No. I have to have Dan's back. It's a thing you wouldn't understand, Rolky. What do you mean? What do you mean? What does that mean? Maybe he wasn't talking about your head. Oh, Zach, stop it. Stop it. Can I smooch your melon quickly, Marty? Of course, Fishy. Of course. I had knee surgery 2 days after moving house with 3 kids. It was hecked. Oh, that sounds terrible. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Fuck. I'm sick. Yeah. Nibble, nibble. No, I asked. Zuna, don't listen to him. Ooh. Whatever, Dan. What's on the agenda for tonight, Marty? Gonna make a better game than that jet. Lily, hello. Welcome in. Thank you for the tier 1. Thank you. You don't need to, but I appreciate it. You now have access to a bunch of emotes, such as one from today. Of pushing through the difficulties of life. Push through those difficulties all the way through. Yeah, so on the agenda tonight, I think every Tuesday, I think I'm going to do like a little bit of an update of Beneath Paris. Just a smidge, just a small one. And then after that, we might do some yaps and then get into games and then wrap up. I want to try doing this a little bit longer and not longer, sorry, consistent and not also wear myself out. So we're going to try these 3-hour streams through the week. Every Tuesday, Thursday at 7, and then one on the weekend for 3, 4, whatever hours. And then yeah, see how those go, and then adjust depending on how it goes. But yeah, at the moment, I think every Tuesday do a little bit of a little update. I couldn't speak for a second though. How much money to bedazzle his head? Fuck, I'm behind, chat. $0, thank you. I'll bedazzle my head for free. Shit, nope, $100. From you, specific. No. Fuck. Sponsored by Manscaped. Oh, Doomies. The dream. The dream. Are you saying your head is the texture of a ball sack? No, Fishy. No, they have a head shaver specifically for the head. You son of a bitch. Demo for us. No. Maybe next time. Hey, why are you saying Rolfie? Is Rolfie here? Or are you just saying Rolfie for the fun of it, Dan? You son of a bitch. Show lung juice. No. Open lung show juice. Got it, Fishy. Fucking hell. Hey, Splungles, how you doing? How is Miss Hilton doing these days? I don't get the reference. I don't understand. Scots, what are you talking about? Slap me across the face with those updates. And you just want the updates, Raucus? Watch out for future bedazzling stream. God damn it. Which head? I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, skull shaver. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, he's not saying that. He's merely implying it. I better join in. When Bedazzle stream. See what you've started? Everyone wants the... Dazzle. You said it. No, I said Rolky. Paris, beneath Paris. Oh, okay. I get you, Scots. You dirty dog. Go look, fishy. What's that thing? What thing are you talking about? Oh, it was One Night Beneath Paris, the sequel. The gold thing. That thing? This? Yeah. Fucking, all right, give me J. Dead Space helmet. Dead Space helmet, Dan. Are you happy? Are you happy you got me to turn around? Where put it on. Dan,
So just.
just missed butt crack. What do you mean, just missed butt crack? Was there butt crack? Oh. That cat. All right, I'm putting it back. You guys are jerks. Gotta watch out for the butt crack, apparently. We were so close, but my dreams were dashed. Fishy, I'll send you a picture later, mate. Oh, I understand this reference now. Jantha, you played Dead Space 1, yeah? You didn't finish. Did you play the other two or just the first one? Does Dan even know what Dead Space is? No, I don't think Dan's ever played Dead Space. I don't know what he's talking about. No. We can blur out the butt crack in post. It actually could be blurred out, I think, if I did it. I'm not going to try it, though. You guys are jerks. All of you. I should play a second game eventually. Yeah, the second Dead Space is pretty good. Third one is a little bit more action-orientated, less scary. But story-wise, it, finishes off the trilogy. It doesn't really. We were robbed for Dead Space 4. Robbed. Yeah, second is good. Second is good. It kind of has its moments of scary. But lube crack with lung juice. You son of a... This place is a prison. A prison. Dead Space was the first game I watched Doomies play. Ah, have you played it though, Fishy? Or just watched it? It's good. It's real good. Yeah, all right. Fishy's more of a voyeur. He would be. He would be. I should do a Dead Space 2 playthrough soonish. You should. You should. Doomies, what did you think of the remake of Dead Space? Oh. Basically everyone on Twitch. Oh, yes it is. Yes, it is. If I can voice, I will never stream, just watch. You could stream, Fishy. I don't know. Good stream. Thank you, Dan, for farting. There's a cooldown for the fart, right? Because I feel like that would get too... Yeah, okay, good. Dan's had too many chickpeas. Yes, he has. Cool. Okay, well, now we've done some yaps. Yeah, let's jump in. I think, Dan, come on, row up, bud. So Beneath Paris, yeah. So I had been working on it for a while. Daniel, you son of a bitch. And then I was out of action for about a month there with moving and the sickness. So I've got back into it this week. Very excited. We should I'm kind of on track for what I'm planning, but I'm looking at getting a demo out for this Steam Next Fest. So if we whip up my little we are 4th. So pretty much my current plan is 1, 2, 3. About mid-September, release a demo. Yes, October Next Fest. Yep. So I'm planning on doing some play tests late August, depending on how things go. And then if the feedback from that is rather positive and, some minor polish. Ooh, food. Thank you. If everything's all positive and just like some minor polish, I will be kind of on track, I think, to getting the demo out for the Next Fest. With that as well, I will need to do some sort of trailer for that. I don't want it on my thing. Take it. Thank you. Love you. Got some nuggies. Small nuggies. Yeah, so currently I've got everything ready. I'm still working on the spookies and the enemies. But pretty much everything's looking pretty good in terms of... Oh, I've also got to work on the sound too, which I'm very excited. Don't want to say anything, but there's a little bit of talent contributing to the this demo. That's all I'm saying. A little bit of talent. Very excited. So yep. And then what else do I have here? Yep. And then so playtest would be late-ish August if everything goes well. And then if everything goes well with that, the demo will release mid to late September, and then the October Next Fest happens at the end of October. And then between the release of the demo and the Next Fest is pretty much the Steam Autumn Sale and PAX. So pretty much I have to have everything kind of done before... Well, pretty much when the demo releases. And then obviously I can fix some things up. And then pretty much when we're down at PAX, it's all done. All done. At least the demo, for the demo. I'm sorry, I've missed some chat here. I'm going to quickly go back. Dan's farting. October Next Fest. Yep. I missed it when it had no cooldown. The fart will, I think, have a cooldown. You've ruined it, Dan. You specifically single-handedly ruined fart. If you need a tester, let me know. Will do, Scotts. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to try and utilize Steam's playtest feature. I haven't used it before, but I want to give it a go. And I think I can pick specific people. I don't know how it works, but I want to do a limited playtest anyway. So Nuggies mentioned small nuggies is like pre-chopped big nuggies. Ish, you get it. You get me. A little bit of talent and Dan. Talent and Dan rarely mentioned in the same sentence. Look, it's hard to say. Dan's a lot of big talent. Someone's got to finish recording their lines. It's a theme I'm noticing among certain people. Yeah, I mean, just this community, I think, Dan, has people, struggling to record lines on time. But you know what? It's fine because the actual date they're due is mid to late August. So no one's actually behind right now. Hey, Honor, how you doing? Welcome in. Are you showing the game at PAX? I am not. No. So this PAX, I'll be missing out on showing anything. I don't really have anything to show at this PAX. But I think in future PAXs, and hopefully I'll have a little bit of money to do it, because it's not cheap. But hopefully show off Beneath Paris and have like a Red Spirals booth at PAX would be really cool. And I could have Beneath Paris and the Night Shift as well. But no, this PAX, I'm not doing anything. And it's funny because at the same time PAX is happening, there's also like a press preview for October Next Fest, which happens 2-ish weeks before every Next Fest. So, all the press from across the world gets all the games that are part of Next Fest, and they pick out, I guess, the ones that are most interesting or whatever. And they, share, write pieces, whatever they do, whatever the press does. I don't know, but that happens a couple weeks before Next Fest. So they've got 2-ish weeks to, I think, play, test around and do stuff before the actual Next Fest happens. And it's funny because this is the first Next Fest I've been part of. If any of you have been following the Night Shift and way back when, I actually applied for Next Fest before we released it. Before we released it into early access, I applied for Next Fest. But then, because it was for uni, I had to publish it for it to be marked, which meant I missed out on Next Fest, and you can only ever do one. But I missed out on it because I published it into early access. 100% poor timing. Things just didn't line up for it. But I think if it went into early access at that stage, I think it would have done more damage than whatever. Because what we did for uni, it sucked. It was bad. It was real bad. You can actually still play that version on itch.io. And if any of you are fucking keen to do it, it's not on this one. If any of you are keen to give out to give that one a go, it runs like arse. Oh, it's bad. Yeah, that's your warning. Yeah, 100%. That is the link to it. And this was done basically solely by me. The other people didn't really do much. Whatever. But yeah, and then after this, I basically had to I rebuilt it by myself, and then obviously the final product is kind of what I worked towards and what I put out. But it's it changed quite a lot, and it's yeah, I know it's trash. So anyway, have that as your warning. Please know high hopes for it. Yeah, anyway, that was a huge tangent. But Doomies know I'm not showing it off at PAX. For trailer, just upload a stream fart clip. Thank you, Sada. Thank you. I'll do just that. No, I've got to I'll be having to pretty much do the trailer, I think the week before, or the week or two before the demo releases. So Marty could potentially make StreamerBot gradually increase the cooldown of the fart with each fart and then reset at the end of the stream. That is true. That is true. I could do that. Would do that. Gonna get Beneath Paris before Wolfstone. No. So this is just the demo, Rolkus. The full game will probably come out, and I think I've spoken about it on stream before, but I'm still kind of tossing up about it. But I'm really wanting to do the episodic one because I want to put things out a little bit quicker. Dan, I swear to God, that's not. Nope, That's not what happened. It might actually. I don't know. I haven't actually tried downloading it. But what was I saying? Gonna get Beneath Paris. Yes. So I want to try the episodic route to go down like Beneath Paris episode 1 or chapter 1 or whatever, and then Beneath Paris episode 2 or chapter 2 or whatever, and like, but only do 3 of them. So I've got the story and plan laid out for 3. And each one is very unique in what I want to accomplish and kind of exciting and a little bit new for me. So
Oh,
thank you, Zuna. The rest of the nuggy. So, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by one biddy eat a nuggy. Yeah, episodic content for Beneath Paris, and I'm thinking that the demo, Steam doesn't like it, so it's going to be the demo, but it's going to be more like a prologue in terms of the stories. So you can still kind of play. I'm still contemplating about keeping it separate or implementing it into the full game as kind of like the start or whatever. But if you play the demo and then play the full game, you'll kind of get a little bit more story. You'll understand why things might be happening and kind of be able to piece things together as you progress through the main story. But if you don't play it, it's not going to affect anything because everything that you need to understand the story will be in the episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. It's just more so like if you play the prologue or the demo, you might appreciate things a little bit more or understand things a little bit more. So, so in response to you, Rolkus, Wolfstone might come out first. I don't know. Who's to say? Easy. See you mid to late August then. Get in for shit TGX. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah, it's a bit pricey. If you need a booth, babe, hit up Rolkus. Mate, can I just say I'm really proud of you? Mandy, stop it. Stop it. It's bad. That's your warning here. Is that the one Sass didn't read instructions on? No, Fish. No. This one is the one that was pretty much the first version that was put onto Steam. I think actually it might have been the last. I think I updated it to the point where it might even be the last version of the Unity one on Steam. And then the version straight after that was the Unreal one. So, but no, this one basically hasn't been touched by anyone that I know in the Twitch community. And it's so far it's been pretty good because if they played that, they would have been like, I'm never I'm not touching the actual one. If Sass played that one, hell, it runs very badly, by the way. I've got stories on that and it's shit, but no one here, a couple people here might understand, but it's just very much not representative of your current skills. No, not at all. Not at all. That was it's the first one. That's the couple. Is Beneath Paris a sequel or a prequel to the hit game No Light? So, oh my god, you're just having a look at all my itch games now. So all of those. What's up? You want to come across? Hello. What's happening here? What's happening? You okay? What's happening? You good? You good? Okay. Big jump. Huge jump. Yeah, so all the games that are on my itch account are basically all student projects. With the night shift being pretty much my last one to kind of wrap that up. Sada, thank you for resubscribing. I'm full of Hungry Jack. What Hungry Jack did you get? And did you get it from Kedron? Kedron H Days. But yeah, so all the other projects on my itch are all different assignments that we had to do at uni, but they all had to do different mechanics. The no light, if I remember correctly, was you couldn't touch you could only move in the light. I don't know. I forget. It's been a while. But yeah, so they're all kind of, rough uni projects. You can give them a go if you want, Dan. Go for it. Like Gran Turismo 5 Prologue. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep. Do you have to play Above Paris first? Of course. Then you won't understand. What if I morally object to the French? That's fine, fish, so do I. Do I need to know any French? No, you don't. It's all English. I just need voice lines, gosh darn it. Rude, Rolkus. You'll get them. You'll get there. You've come a long way in 2 years. Should be proud of yourself, mate. Thanks, Dan. Thanks. It's been a long 2 years, I think, with all of those, especially with the night shift. And there's still a lot. Like, I know it's not the most perfect game. I could spend ages on it, fixing it up and whatever, but it's just more like I just want to, that's that kind of era done. I'm just moving on to the next. A lot of the learnings that I've got from the night shift is moving into Beneath Paris. So excited to kind of share more in the coming weeks with people. And I think next week I might aim to get some screenshots of different things to show off. Yeah, let's do that. Yep, done. I'm going to leave myself a little note. Greenies for that stream. Next Tuesday, I'll show off some work in progress screenshots, just of bits and bobs of Beneath Paris, of the demo, and and then hopefully, man, that's coming up quick. Jesus, coming up quick. Chip, Kedron HJ, a little bit of Keddy Hungry Jack. I got 2 double cheese Whoppers, and I got it from Browns Plains. Not the only Browns Plains around here. Oh, I don't know where I was going with that. I was thinking about pants shitting. No, it's okay. No, it's fine. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't. Dan wants to collaborate. Dan canceled their request to join. That's true. That's true. It'd be like Dan and I kissing each other, except less cute. Yeah. Some of the intersection lights were out, so nice to know BP is consistent. Yeah, it's always the way. Or you can eat Pizza Hut at Browns Plains. Oh, fuck, is there? I miss all you can eat Pizza Hut. Is the horror of Beneath Paris not surrendering? No, it's being surrounded by the French doomies. Yeah, but the night shift hit a real stride, and I'm excited to see Beneath Paris. I think with the night shift as well, one thing that I didn't do, which I'm doing now, is actually planning out the entire game. So the night shift, it was more so I do a bit, and then because it was an early access, I was kind of like, I knew I needed to add more shifts. And then I got to a point and I'm like, man, it's just not scary up until, or like, you know, it's too samey up until this point. So that's when I started having the environment change. But even looking back at it, having just the mannequins, it makes it really difficult to add variety because you know nothing's going to come from the front. So I think uh, if I went back, I would probably. We actually did have some different enemy varieties that we wanted to do, at least for the uni project, and I was thinking about how those could come back into, you know, the one that I ended up doing, and there was just never a right time to kind of spend X amount of time on said thing. And then it just got to a point where the game was done, game was out, and then I was like, that's it. Move on to the next thing. So this one, I'm looking at doing more than one enemy type, just to make things a little bit more exciting. But I do want to keep the less jump scary route and have it more build up. So that's going to be a challenge, at least for the full game. I don't know how I want to do that with the demo just yet. If I do want to have that build up, or just be like, you know, scary from the get go. But that'll be something that I've got to play around with in the next couple weeks. Oh, proud of you, Marlos. Thank you, Fishy. I think a lot of us are. Stop it, Dan. Stop it. I don't play scary games because I'm a bitch, but I'll be getting a copy. Fish, you're too good. The behind the scenes of this planning is insane. He can't show on stream, obviously, but it's a spreadsheet upon spreadsheet. I have a lot of spreadsheets. A lot of spreadsheets. A lot of spreadsheets. Too many. This clip. Okay. I think the biggest challenge for you that I see with Beneath Paris is making areas look different, not the same old catacomb corridor. Yeah, so I have been working on that. And I think story-wise, I have a plan to kind of circumvent that a little bit. And there'll probably be like areas much like many games where things just kind of do look the exact same. But it's how long do they stay until they kind of like overstay their welcome? And that'll be the balance that I've got to do for the full game. For the demo, I'm not too fussed about it. I think I've got a little bit of variety in them. But there's a lot to kind of play around with. Like water sections, you know, the catacombs are, you know, they were a limestone. There's like limestone quarries underneath there. So like there's a difference between, you know, rock, limestone materials and surfaces. Depending on what era, there was World War II sections as well. And then obviously in modern day, there's like an underground nightclub. Obviously that's much, much higher than where I'm thinking. But yeah, I've got plans. Whether or not I can pull them off correctly is another thing. Wait, there will be French in Beneath Paris? No. Not real French. No. I think that is something that I do need to think about in some situations. Getting potentially like French actors or someone that can do a French accent that doesn't cost too much, that can speak French, whatever. But it that makes sense to just kind of like have it in the world. But for the majority of it, no, there will be no French in the in Beneath Paris. Also, welcome in, Serby. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Bitloke Dan only comes from behind. Much like your spelling roll, because hits harder when you do it right. I like more unsettling horror games. Jump scares make it feel cheap. Yeah, 100% Doomies. That's what I was trying to aim for with the night shift. And I think I got it good with the night shift. I did it well. The issue was this. It was just super repetitive. And if you're not scared of mannequins moving or the weeping angel thing, you're not really going to be scared or anything by the night shift. So it's kind of like a niche, very, very niche horror. But I think the catacombs is a different type because you kind of hit a bunch of different ones: claustrophobic, darkness, the unknown, holes. Everyone's scared of holes. What else? What else is there? The unknown. I'm not sure if I just said that. And then, as I said, water sections. So drowning is another thing. So the catacombs definitely open up a little bit more avenue in terms of being scared than just jump scares. Hang on. I think we're good. Spread cheeks. No, Dan. Spread your own cheeks. Wait, we're supposed to plan games? Fuck, maybe that's where I've been going wrong. Yeah, I think having a basic plan, and obviously, Gots, you have a basic plan of doing things. Very basic. I think it's when you get that basic plan, because Beneath Paris started as a basic plan. And then it's just kind of like extrapolating on that and making it a little bit more in depth in some areas. And then to a point, you've got a whole game, whether it's a narrative or mechanics for the whole thing. But I think having a plan from A to B is, whether it's, especially for indies, like it's really hard to it's not going to work for every project. So like for tower defense games and roguelikes, it's not really going to work planning, every beat, but having those key point, those moments where, if roguelikes, you've just got this next power up, that's when the next part of the story kind of triggers as well. Hades does that really well in terms of you can replay the exact same level over and over and over and over and over again. But then when you get the weapon, or the 10th time you go back to your base area, I forget what it's, that little, hub area, the story kind of expands there each time. So like the 10th time you go there, that's when the next thing, next bit of dialogue happens or whatever. But I think for me, because it's more of a narrative based horror, having that plan from the get go is a little bit easier. Makes things a little bit easier. But yeah, super excited, and I'm just hoping that it's good. I'm hoping that it's more received and more and well received than compared to the night shift, which was kind of 50-50, a little bit below 50-50. But hopefully Beneath Paris is a little bit better. That starts with me. So a red jump scare is fine though. 100%. Desert section, ice and snow section. Dan, no. You stream soon. Go away. So there is a difference between rock and stone. Yeah, a little bit. And then ye old Gowlick shitter underwater sequence. A little bit of a shit just floats past and you're like, ugh. I have watched bands play in the catacombs that look cool as fuck. Yeah, so there's there's like a not DJ, nightclubby area in one of the very high catacombs that people kind of sneak into and whatever. Which is super cool, but fucking scary. That's gonna do a French accent. She can, can't she? Maybe. Beneath Paris, everyone is dying to get there. Coming 2026. I love it. Azuna can do a French accent. I can do French Canadian, but that's it. Hey Danny, you've started streaming early tonight. Oh, has he? Classic. I'm Mandy from Mandy's Cafe, and it's another beautiful day here in Regina, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan? I don't know that word. You're a dickhead. 100%. Marty Sherhall. No. Fuck, I'm a little bit behind the chat. Sorry, gang. I'm good. I was also going to shoot you a DM later, if that's right. Go for it, Serby. Shoot away. My life is a horror. You should make a game about that. Fucking. Yeah, at the moment, I'm just slinging shit at the wall and see what sticks in terms of mechanics. The rest I can build upon. 100%. A lot of the time it is just doing that as well. Gonna go all soapy and have a lovely stream, handsome man. Later, skaters. All right, get out of here, Dan. Thanks for popping by. Imagine having thumping bass in the French catacombs and all the skulls in the wall start chattering. There's a whole thing, Sada, with there's people that like live in the catacombs as well, and they're not very like friendly to tourists. And obviously, like there's like the public area, which is the first 1.7 kilometers of the catacombs, and then everything below that is illegal and forbidden kind of thing. Where there's people that live in like the upper forbidden catacombs, and yeah, they're pretty like anti people. it's weird. Have you seen the bloke that goes to haunted locations and blasts EDM music to a section like that? Interesting, Rolkus. Very interesting. Marty, I love that you read through every message cute as. Griffy, you know, I'm not going to be like those streamers that don't read chat and don't read every message. Everyone gets love. Everyone gets a little Marty attention in their message. You know? Not going to name any names. Daniel. Oh, Daniel, no. How dare you? You're streaming in 6 minutes, mate. Get to it. Chop, chop. Regina like vagina. With a Saskatchewan. Huh. Interesting. Germans who don't know the war ended. Maybe. No, I have. I think it was Nazis in the catacombs, or Italians. It was one of them. It wasn't like the French. It wasn't whatever. It was. Yeah. The Axis forces. Also, possibilities of World War II resistance storage. Yeah. Well, I think there were areas where it was potentially resistance, but most of it, if I remember correctly from my limited research into the World War II sections, was Axis. But the issue is they're rather high up, and I'm going to be rather down low. Rather down low. Don't chat in tub, Danny. Tub. Dan getting all soaped up from stream or stream. Oh, maybe. Soapy Danny stream, maybe. I'll send you a reel when it comes across my Insta again on the EDM bloke. Yeah, 100%. I'll probably actually I'll make a note here. EDM bloke in haunted areas. Cool. Deep enough in Paris and you'll find Lutetia. Maybe. He's off to make some Gamer Boy bathwater. Well, he does have a merch store. Oh, actually, again, if anyone is interested, there's no reason, no pressure. But I do have a merch store as well that I created. mainly at the moment for Red Spiral Studio stuff. And it's I'm just trying to find it now. I'm just clicking the. There is. Yes, Mandy. Let me find it. I'm just struggling hardcore here. There we go. Here's a shot. If I do this one, is that going to pick up the? Which one is this picking up? Is this picking up anything? Of course. Of course. That's the wrong bloody side. There we go. I'm also. There we go. There we go. That's better. That's better. So, it's a NotMardee crossed with Red Spiral Studios. So I've got a couple shirts in there with the NotMardee logo. At the moment, obviously, there's nothing. There's no reason, but I have this. This isn't what I wanted. Where's the? There it is. Red Spiral Studios collection at the bottom. Should probably put that at the top, where it goes through all of the Red Spiral merch. So we got some mugs. Everyone loves a mug. We got some hoodies. We got some shirts, some hats. And it's really just this one here. Yeah. You love a mug. Yeah. So you can get these, and then with the mugs, there's different types. You can get a big mug. You can get a little mug. Yeah. So I put this together. You can get some stickers as well. I don't know the quality of these. I assume they're good because it is fourth wall. But yes, and then the other thing as well is the I've made it so if you're a sub to the channel, you get 10% off. And I'm not sure if I wanted to change that so tier ones get a little bit, get a little bit of a discount. Tier twos get more. Tier threes get more. We'll see how we go as we kind of progress. But at the moment, it's a 10% discount, and you can get that for the Red Spiral stuff as well. I do want to kind of do a bit more and have a bit more than just the logo, but we'll see how we go. But anyway, this is what I put together, and then not that anyone's Hawaiian Mixplate. Thank you for the follow, appreciate it. Also, welcome in. And then the other thing here is this NotMardee shirts. If anyone cares, you don't have to. It's just there for a bit of fun. But the main thing here is the Red Spiral Studios one. I do kind of want to expand on it and see where it goes, see how it goes. I did put it out on Steam, so we'll see whatever. But I think I'm NotMardee, and so's my wife. Raucus, you okay, champ? Wife. Yeah, and I put this together as well just because of the traction of Next Fest and whatever. So I kind of want to see where we go with it. Yes, that's that. So that was cool. That was neat. Put that together. What else have I done? Quick update. How could I forget? Oh man, I'm gonna do it again. I put so beforehand I had the nightshift.com. That was the website. And that kind of shoehorned me into a one game website. So I kind of had to wait for and I stupidly bought it for 2 years, that domain. So I had to wait for it to run out, and I got Red Spiral Studio, and I had to update the website. So now this will cover all future games. So we've got, Beneath Paris and then the Night Shift. So, and things down here as well. Ad break. We didn't get was there a message saying there was an ad in a minute? Or did that just kind of come out of nowhere? Anyway, the Beneath Paris game looks cool as fuck. Thank you so much, Hawaiian. Thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words. We're actually just talking about bit of the update at the moment. So just a small update. Yeah, so at the moment there's a Beneath Paris one. It's very, very, very basic at the moment because I don't have a trailer, I don't have any moving stuff, and it's just kind of going off of the images that are on Steam, but this will be all updated for future. And then the Night Shift one didn't really change. No, this was all the same. Anyway, the website has gone through a like a revamp in a way, and I spent some time doing that during my pneumonia weeks. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So development's gone well, merch store, website. That's all I can think of right now. So yeah, and then next week it won't be as exciting. There'll be exciting in terms of the size of the update, but it will go through some screenshots and I'll put together a little plan of what to show off and stuff. I think this one was just kind of going off of a bit of a whim. But yeah, Oh Lovely Mannequins, that looks pretty cool too. We'll def check it out. Thank you. Well, you can think if this works. There we go. There's a link for you if you do want to check it out. And then a couple other things too. So something I do want to put together as well, just to kind of support me, but also support give back as well and support the game development is I think I might have it as tier 2, tier 3 kind of thing. I still got to iron it out. But tier 2, tier 3s, I think will get a credit mention. But I haven't really thought about it. Maybe tier 1. But at the moment, if you've got 500,000 points, you can do it by channel points. But I don't. Yeah, I kind of want it just to find ways for people that stick around and support me and the development, and also get a little bit of recognition for that in a game. And I think with that as well, depending on how things go, might get early snippets or play tests of the full game and sneak peeks and all of that. So I do kind of want to dive into that moment, but I haven't really put anything together. So I think I need to spend some time with that just to kind of like, give a reason to do those things as well. Because at the moment, it's really just, if you've got the expendable cash to do it and to support, but yeah, it's all up in the air. But that's kind of where I'm at. So thank you, and thanks for listening to my TED Talk. But that's the update. The update for Beneath Paris and all of that stuff. So, hey Taters, how you doing? Welcome in. Wait, should I have been saving points and not redeeming fight all this time? You can redeem fight. You can. It's up to you. It's a very new thing, Stardust. So, but yeah, TED Talk. Thank you, Hawaiian. Yeah, no, it's very exciting times, and I think it's going to be a pretty busy couple weeks ahead and moving forward and getting everything done before PAX. Very excited about PAX. Very excited about PAX. But getting all that done before then, and then I guess when we come back, it's kind of seeing all the reception on it, but or the press release anyway. And then a week later, it's Next Fest. So Very exciting. Someone just finished up. Let me just tab up someone. There we go. All right. Cool. All right. Well, that's it. I do want to play a game tonight. We're going to pause that bad boy. And we're just, oh God, it's real quiet now. I'm here with my own thoughts. Tonight we're going to play a game called The Precinct. Jesus, that's loud. That went straight into it. But the camera worked this time. Hell yeah. Usually it doesn't the first time I do it. That's really loud. Is that getting picked up? No, it's not. It's not getting picked up. Silly. Although it should be getting picked up. Hang on. Oh, because it's... There we go. There we go. The Precinct. That's really loud. For me. There we go. There we go. We play games here? Yeah, maybe. And no one is picking up what you are putting down. Sada, rude. Also, I should eat my nuggets before Zuna hurts me. Okay. How many nugs left? 6.5. You eat your nuggets like my anxiety-ridden Jack Russell eats his wet food. Slow. Alright, that all looks good. Very cool. Alright. Let's just dive in. Let's just dive in. Thank you for the 6 biddies for the 6 nuggies, Griffy. So I have seen a little bit of gameplay in this. But apparently it's good. I don't know. Also, hello Sharples. Yeah, I didn't even register. Hello. I've heard, I think, mixed things on it.
Welcome to
But
Verno City. It may look peaceful from here, but trust me, it's rotten to the bone.
rotten to the bone.
Of Verno's finest. We swore an oath to protect this city, to look out for the citizens walking those streets below. There's bad guys, and there's good guys. And then there's us, all balancing on a knife edge, fighting each other just to survive. But it's a fight we're losing, and everybody knows it. We're understaffed, underpaid, and overworked. Worse than that, we got targets on our backs, and every low-life punk and thug thinks they can take aim. Heck, a few of us might even deserve those targets. Not all of Averno's finest are that fine. We got our fair share of rot, too. What good is an oath of honor if you got no honor to betray? But me, I believe in the badge. That chunk of metal means something. And hey, some days the good guys come out on top. But most days not so much. All the while, the fight rages on. The lucky ones get a flag and a plaque. The unlucky ones get a flag and a 21-gun salute. Why do we do it? Truth is, for some of us, it's all we know. But for others, it's in our blood.
Okay. One thing I didn't like is every time I move the fucking mouse, you can see it. It like it's struggling.
And they remain at large. Chandler, Sayers, you're covering downtown. Keep 'em peeled. These guys are no joke.
You got it, boss.
All right, I know you're dying to get out there.
Can't wait.
But before you all charge into the blue, I want to introduce you to our newest tender lamb fresh out of the academy.
Bah. Where's Bo Peep when you need her?
Yeah, I could tell you where she was last night.
This officer graduated from the academy at the top of his class.
Yeah, that and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee.
And Nick Cordell Jr.
What? No way.
will obviously have
Coffee.
some big shoes to fill.
Jesus.
Coffee.
What the?
Seriously?
They assigned him here?
Kowalski, if I may, I don't have to tell anyone in here about the late Chief Cordell, his stellar record, the respect you had for him, his untimely death. I especially don't have to tell Recruit Officer Cordell, who's lived with it every day of the last 5 years. But there is one thing I do want to remind you of.
That me? Mike
Every
Cordell?
single one of you took an oath to protect this city, its residents, and your fellow brothers in blue. That's what matters. I don't care what your last name is, who your daddy was, or who you hang out with on your day off. Our
Yeah.
worth
You
comes
get him,
from what
Jackson.
we do, not who we know. I want you to welcome Officer Cordell, but I'm not asking you to take it easy on him.
On it.
Or hard on him. He's a cop. Just like you. Just like me. We're the ones out there making the hard choices. And those choices are what make us who we are. And Cordell, you're gonna have to learn the streets and the precinct the same way these mooks do.
Turn him up after this.
Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Crystal, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Thank you, officers.
Actually,
Watch Commander.
if I turn that up.
Appreciated, Chief. Sergeant Kelly,
Yeah, boss?
the rook's with you.
I pulled the last one
Why do you think I'm giving you this one?
because I did something in a past life.
You did something. I'll alert the media.
Ugh.
All right, squad. Let's get out there and make Averno City proud.
Yes, ma'am.
Time to pound pavement.
Come on, Rook. Let's go for a drive.
Who's up pounding their pavements right now? Jesus. Coffee. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so my puppy loves chewing on socks. You're not going to have any socks. Just get yourself some thongs, Rolkus. You'll be
Let's
set.
see what Averno City has in store for us today.
Ugh. So, as I'm... Ugh. Okay. Ugh. What is with that? Graphics very high. I feel like that's worse. Ugh. Oh. That didn't change anything. Try this. Okay, that might be fine for now. We'll find out. Okay, leave the precinct. Go this way. Will the shift never end? Talks with one of the main foreign bodies we used to remove the dog's stomachs. Underwear was probably the top. Oh, hey Calypso, how you doing?
Mission. Sustenance. But, you can drive.
No monkey undies lying around,
Been
Rolkus.
acting up lately. Oh, and, don't worry about the fellas. They like to act tough,
Hey,
but that's
don't
just
worry
'cause
about
they
it.
don't have my
Coffee.
natural good looks and winning personality.
Coffee.
Don't shoot!
All right. Good to know. Good to know. What are you snacking on? I got some nuggies. That if I don't eat, Zuna will hurt me. So I've got a snack on them. Textbook American police work. Yep. Oh no. I just realized we're good. Don't worry about it. We're good. We're good. It's fun. All good. Is this like a GTA game prior to them going first person? Yeah, a little bit. Oh, okay.
But for now, let's just
Vehicle
take it
controls.
slow and steady. Don't want to scratch the paint job on your first day.
Hey, don't scratch the paint job, because I'm getting my coffee. Hey, I'm walking here. Ah, forget about it. Yeah,
Swing by
100%.
the hot dog stand in Chinatown. There's a parking bay there.
Get out of my way. I'm a cop. How do I put sirens on? Get out of my way. Beep, beep. Oh. Get out of my way. Chinatown. We're here. Oh, other side. Don't think I'm meant to be going through here. Oh. Yep. That. Ooh. We're good. We're cheap. It's fine. Go get out. There we go.
Good job, rookie. Time for
Yeah.
some chow.
Chow. Hey, I'm getting my chow here. Hey, how do I get in? Buy a hot dog. Oh, over here. Okay.
There it
Eat.
tube steak. Breakfast of champions. How'd you take yours, kid?
Everything but the dog.
Everything but the dog.
You a vegetarian or something? It's a free country, I guess. What's the damage for
Oh, my friend. For you, no charge.
Fareed, you
I'm
are
sorry.
soft.
Did Dan do that?
You earn that tip
You
every
did
time,
that.
don't you?
You son of a
Get it
bitch.
in, kid.
Where are you putting
Best
that?
part of the day. Besides, you can't patrol on an empty stomach.
I don't like
You
that.
know, your old man liked his dogs too. Of course you do. We came up through the academy together. Took different paths when we got on the force, though. He wasn't gonna let anything get in his way. And me, well, let's just say, water finds its level, and my level is, easy mode.
Hey, I'm walking here on easy mode. Hey.
Central to all units, bank robbery in
Let's get in the car.
process. Mercer ACB Bank on Mercer Street, shots fired.
Christ on a crutch.
I don't
Another
know.
beautiful moment,
I don't know.
Will.
It's.
Oh,
I don't know. This guy.
That's what they're
When responding to an
paying us
emergency,
for, right?
activate your lights. Oh, shift. Okay. Oh, you know they did. They
Central,
did
this is
vanish.
Unit 84,
They
responding
all
code three.
vanished.
10-484.
Siren, get out of the way.
Suspects are heavily
Pew, pew.
armed. Approach with caution.
Okay,
Where am I going?
kid.
This
You
way.
wanted the real deal?
I'm a cop. I'm the real deal. Get out of the way. Get out. Fuck. Get out. Shit. We're good. No, we're fine. Oh. We're good. Who is it? Where are they? Get out the fucking way. Don't. Who just does that? Yeah. We're good. Oh, there's other cops here already. We're good. They were all trading illegal Pokemon cards. They were. They were. Okay. Get to cover.
Now remember, they get one warning. If they don't throw them down, we take
No,
them
we
down.
just start shooting.
Get ready. Police,
Lethal force, see?
drop your weapons. Hold
Fuck.
it. Doesn't look like they're gonna give us a choice. Light them up. Shots fired.
What's happening here? Oh. Okay, this is... Die.
Suspect is down. He's
Get the
shooting.
perp. Get the perp again. Oh, they all just come out of this building. How'd I get that guy with a... Was it a headshot? The first dude just went down in one shot.
Suspect down.
Yeah.
This is Bree Bookman in the ACTV Eye in the Sky, the #1 news chopper in Averno City.
Okay.
We're downtown where police are engaged in a major shootout following yet another bank robbery. It's not clear yet whether this is
Hey,
an
Corey, how you
affiliate of
doing?
this gang or... Hold on.
All right, get out of here,
There's a
Zuna.
building.
Go do some
More
self-care.
criminals coming out. They're boarding a vehicle.
Have fun.
It's a dark van and
Love you.
Oh my goodness! Keep it tuned to ACTV, folks. Looks like we're in for a police pursuit.
Oh, yeah, police pursuit. Go. Go. Non-lethal force. Well, how am I meant to do it? I meant just ram? Get out of the way. Good pursuit. You son of a bitch. Call for backup when you need it. Yeah?
We have units on standby if required.
Oh, you idiot.
84 Adam, requesting backup.
Copy that.
Oh. Oh, yes. What? Oh, we got him. We got him. What happens here? Yeah, get out. If a suspect is in danger, you are authorized to use lethal force. Yeah. Oh, hey. Hey. Force out. Get out.
He's running.
Fucking hell.
Don't make me drop even off, boot.
We got him.
Target is down.
Damn him, trap. Got him. Easy. Easy peasy. Hello, doing all right? Good to see you streaming again, bud. Yeah, no, it was just because I wanted to stream earlier, but we couldn't. Okay, search for items. Oh, we can just fucking frisk him for no reason. I mean, he did drive away.
What have we got here?
What have we got here? Gonna check your ID.
Requesting a 1029 on the subject.
Checking database for records. 84, no infractions on record.
Gort, get in the car. You're going away for a long time, buddy. He's going away for a long time. Okay, where's the cop shop? Cop shop. Arrest the suspects. Suspects plural? Fuck, I've only got one. Where do I go? This way, right? Oop, I'm on the wrong side of the road. I believe it was... Scooch. This way, right? How do I... Okay, where's... Oh, there. Yep. Okay, we Gucci. And we turn.
This city will be safer when the arrest is made.
Okay. Litchfield. Oh, I've got to go... Here? Oh, fuck. Anyway, I was just popping in to say hi, have a good stream. Thank you, Carrie, for popping in. Have a nice night. Everyone say night to Carrie. Night, Carrie. Alright, keep on going. Suspect must be arrested. Hello? Resolve. Oh, arrest.
84 to
Okay.
Central. We got a 1015. Pursuit has been terminated.
Copy that, 84. All units stand down. I repeat, stand down.
I've...
You did good, kid. Not everyone handles a pursuit like that on their first day.
It's hilarious. He escorted him, and then I arrested him right outside. Assault with a deadly weapon. Did he have a deadly weapon, though? Didn't arrest him. I found this crim. Can I keep him? Yeah. Just take him home. Dan, don't fart. No, you're streaming, champ. What are you doing? Aren't you streaming? Yeah. Can't even fart in your stream. Whatever. Place is rigged. All right. Cool. Assigned. I've got to find it. Nick Cordell. All right. And you're...
Come on, Cordell. There's someone I want you to meet.
What happens with him then? Boost speed. Oh, okay. The fart trade has gone downhill. Yeah. Sure has. Oh, okay.
What's today's major malfunction?
Oh, the usual. Misfiled evidence, sloppy dockets, illegible handwriting, contaminated evidence. I'm surprised some of your friends here made it out of grade school.
Cordell, meet Eugene, our evidence guy.
Eugene Papadopoulos at your service. Did Kelly try the old, you drive, my hip hurts routine on you yet?
Hey!
Thought so. He doesn't tend to lift a finger unless there's a gun drawn or a chance he might get pizza. Anyway, my job's to know where everything is, which basically means tracking down whatever you humps misfile, mislabel, or otherwise misplace.
We do our best.
Oh, I'm well aware of this unit's, limitations. Anyway, when you collect any evidence, you come see me. I'll make sure it's safe.
You're a peach, Gene. Never change.
Wasn't planning on it.
All right, kid. You did good today. But that won't mean a fart in a windstorm tomorrow. I'm out of here. I'll see you in the morning. Unless I die in my sleep. God, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Okay. And you shift at your desk. Where is my... Oh, okay. And shift. Easy. Easy day one. Daytime. Let's... Oh, no. Back to nighttime. Okay. Okay. So I only work the night shift?
Morning, Cordell. Tidy work yesterday. Keep that up and you'll be leaving Kelly in the dust before he even has time to retire.
Love you too, Kowalski.
I know we dropped you right into the thick of it on your first day, but fundamentals are important too.
What she means to say is that parking tickets are how the city pays the bills.
Come on, Kelly, you know that isn't true. This city hasn't paid its bills in years. Regardless, today is going to be about old-fashioned police work. You're going to walk a beat and maybe straighten out a little bit of this bent old city.
Check your handbook for the violations to look out for.
Oh, okay. I was on... Oh my god. Look at all these things. Look at all these crimes. Oh, fuck, I'm just going to go outside and start shooting.
I guess we better earn our paychecks.
Hey, I'm walking here. Let's go get our coffee. Coffee? There are 6 types of parking violation: obstructing a fire hydrant, opposite the flow of traffic, too close to a crossing, on the sidewalk, in a no parking zone. Okay. So am I just looking for...
Let's go find some parking violations.
Okay. Do I have to go on
There
foot?
are 6 different parking violations to look for.
Okay.
Parking a hydrant, parking in the opposite direction of traffic.
Hey, oh, look at
too
that.
close to a crossing or on the sidewalk. Oh, and of course, parking in the no parking zone.
Yeah.
Oh, and
but
don't forget expired parking meters.
how do I...
Just be sure a vehicle is parked illegally before issuing a ticket. You
Yeah,
can't take it back.
Issue parking ticket. You are... obstructing fire hydrant.
Good job.
Yeah.
The handbook
Get
shows
fined.
all the violation types. Come on, let's check some parking meters.
We go, yeah. Oh, wait, what? Parking meters?
People are allowed to use parking bays until the meter expires. When you
Oh,
inspect
okay.
the meter, 0 minutes remaining means it has expired. It's worth checking the meters at bays that are in use. There's a lot of people who don't like to pay their dues these days.
But get the fuck out. Expired. Oh, get fucked.
Is it expired? Give him a
Meter
ticket.
expired.
Hey, you're getting the hang of this ticketing.
He's,
You'll come
they're
across
talking like a real
different
cop.
crimes as you walk
Handing
in.
out tickets of
You
land.
could be issuing parking tickets 1 minute and chasing an armed thug the next. My advice, be prepared for anything.
Oh, look at this guy's too close to the sidewalk. Oh my god. Do I have to wait?
Will you look at this? Write 'em up.
On sidewalk.
You're a natural.
Get fucked.
Let's carry on.
Yep. I'm way ahead of you. Where are you going? Oh, you're going...
Got eyes on a vandal. Go handle it, kid.
Yeah. We're good.
Issue the fine and let's get out of here.
Hey man, I'm complying. Okay, yep. Interaction. Search
Dispatch,
ID.
I need a warrants check on an ID.
Affirmative, stand by. All clear on that search. No criminal history.
House key. Library card? It's set. Alright, you good. Resolve. Issue fine.
Excellent. That handbook will help you stick to the rules. Graffiti is a type of vandalism, and only warrants a fine. Picasso there surrendered as soon as he saw us, so we didn't need to arrest him. That said, some criminals like to try their luck. They might throw a few punches, or they might take off. Both of those are arrestable offenses. Even if the initial crime only warrants a fine, Once a perp commits an arrestable crime, you gotta make the arrest.
I've just got my gun out now. You. Oi.
We have a graffiti vandalism down here. Reel it in! Whoa, we...
Copy that.
I don't know how to put my gun away. Oh,
Get your
okay.
baton out, partner.
Okay, yep. Nope. Freak. Baton. Oh, you're gonna... Surely. He's down. Fuck him up.
You aren't authorized to use that much force.
Okay, I didn't... Okay, sure. Fuck him up. Do I have to take him back to the car? Or
You
do I
used
just...
your baton to defend yourself. That's fair enough. But next time, see if you can restrain him instead.
84, no
He came at me.
infractions
What do you
on
mean?
record.
Took a bullet to the chest and still try to kick at you. Yeah, right. Okay, I've got to arrest him.
Call an escort unit to take our suspect to the precinct.
Oh.
Don't worry, you'll still get all the credit for the arrest.
Oh, I want... Hello. Hello, gang. Ali, hello. Hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you for the raid. Jesus. How was, you were playing the mouse one? What's it called? What was it? I can't think of the name, but yes. Moss, that's right. Yes, yes, yes. How was it? Good. I tuned in, I was lurking, and what I saw was very cute. Was very cute. Hey Stacy, welcome in. How we doing? Welcome back, sir. Oh, it's good. It's good to be back. If I wasn't sick, I would have been back week 1, I think, of moving into the new place. Cute and cozy, just what I needed. Have you finished Assassin's Creed Black Flag? Or are you still trekking with that? And today was an off stream for Moss. Because I know you were getting pretty every stream for Assassin's Creed, weren't you? I just don't know where you were in that. I'm halfway trying to break it up with other games. Smart. How are you enjoying it, by the way? Both Moss and Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync. Because I haven't played Resync, but I played the OG. Also, it's a little bit. There we go. A little bit quiet. We don't like too quiet. But no, thank you for choosing me. I appreciate it. Raiders, if you don't know who I am a Brisbane-based Australian streamer. I'm very on-off. I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent, but I'm also a game developer. And yeah, it's thanks for popping in. I play a bit of everything. Today we're playing a bit of the Precinct, which is a police game. You play as a police and you go around policing people. So, wait, you're in Brisbane? I'm in Brisbane. Mandy, no way. You're in Brisbane. I'm in Brisbane. Professional nugget eater too. I'm all about I'm out of nugs now. No more nugs. I fave game dev. Stop it, Ali. Stop it. That's very policey. Yeah, we do a lot of policing. We just started, really. And I've shot 3 people. So, we you know, I don't know. Nugs where? No, Nugs gone. Nugs gone. All gone, Nuggies. Nugs gone. Yeah, that's because you're too good at it. I see people and they just needed to be shot. Where Chip? Chip is at the door, upside down. Legs like that. Hang on, I'll see if I can I'm not sure how well this is going to happen over... I don't know how well that's going to... Oh, look at that. I don't even need to bring it up. Holy shit. He's upside down at the door. Living his best life. I've got a... Because Zuna's computer is pretty much on that side. And we've got a blanket in between us. And he basically... That's the one where he needs on my Insta story. He's been on that. Yeah, he hasn't been on it all day today, and he's just over there like a loser. I don't know. But Ali, no, thank you for rating. If you need to rate and run, do some self-care, go do that. You were streaming for a little bit today. Yeah, no, thank you so much for choosing me. The person you have beef with, you know? I still can't forget about that. I do need to go make some chili and pay attention to Minnie. She's abusing me. Classic. It's when you don't... Yeah, I still can't get over that. I still can't get over that. Oh my God. But yeah, no. For anyone that's here that doesn't know Ali, go check Ali out. She's an amazing content creator and talented editor. Yeah. If you've never tuned into Ali, easiest blind follow. And she's just a lovely human being. And she's got kitties. You know? Good old kitty cat. You know. Marty Chew, I choose you. Thank you, Sada. Thank you very much. She's got what? She's got kitty cat. You got kitty. You got you got kitty cat. I'm not explaining myself to you. Not explaining myself to you at all. We're just going to go straight into game. God, my fucking Stream Deck is ages away. Who invented this? Me.
Let's walk back to the station, but keep our eyes peeled.
Oh, look at him. He just ran. From the station? Sorry, I'm old, and my old man hearing said no. Okay. Wait.
Control 1039 in progress.
Suspects may offer a resistance. Indicated, which can be reduced by voice orders. Okay. Oh, he's running away. What for?
Get after him.
Oh, no, I'm so far behind. I was going the wrong way. You're so far ahead of me. Surely you can...
Hey, you!
Hey! Hey, you, stop! No. How do I... Oh, I've got to shift. Oh, that's all I had to say is, hey, you.
Hey!
Stupid. All right. Hey! Hey! Read rights.
Take it easy. Central, requesting a 1029 on the subject.
Okay.
Affirmative, stand by. Nothing flagged in the system.
Yeah, the voice command works really well. Use it first. 100%. I was like so far away and I was just like, hey, you. And he's like, yeah, fuck, you got me. You got me. That I don't know what to do. You're so far away from me. I'm done. This is it. Evading arrest. Vandalism. Oh, is that what he was doing? I've got to arrest him.
Might as well escort this brain box ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, this brain box. Get in here. Your brain box. What does that even mean, brain box? We're gonna get some coffee. It feels weird to be bringing a perp, because that's what we say in the Force. Perp the opposite way through the fucking evading arrest. Vandalism. Red rights? No. You gave me 2 seconds to read his rights. Am I meant to read his rights? In real life, yeah, but in game, who knows?
Nice work, Rook. Some might chalk it up to natural talent, but
as opposed to shoot first, yell later.
Today was due to strong mentorship from a true paragon of police work, a guardian of peace, and a shining pillar of hope in a city sorely in need. Right now, though, this pillar of hope needs a stiff drink. Anything you want to go over before we punch out?
A stiff drink, huh? Nah, fuck it.
I'll let
I'll
you
let
head
you
home.
go home.
Me.
Get out of here.
Listen, kid. You're just starting out, and I ain't got long left on the job, so I'm gonna
You
be
dying?
straight with you. This is a tough shop in a tough town.
You got a couple grays,
I've seen
but
a lot of kids come out of the academy all fired
you're doing
up
pretty
about
good.
truth and justice and the American way, only to end up either on the take or in a casket. My advice: keep your head down, stick to your beat, don't piss off the chief, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get to retirement in one piece like me. You got that?
Capiche?
I hear you.
I hear you.
Ah, come on, you don't gotta humor me, kid. I can see that spark in your eyes. You're your father's son, no mistaking it. Careful who you show that spark to, though. If you're waiting for the other humps here at the precinct to step up, I hope you got some time on your hands. Ever since the gangs got to your old man, all the badges have been running scared. Stands to reason, if they could hit him, they could sure as hell hit any one of us. And that chased the fight right out of them. Me? I never had too much fight in me to begin with. Anyway, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said any of that. Oh well, what do you want from Motormouth Kelly? I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Get home safe.
Hey, I'm walking here. To my desk. Fucking hell. Hang on, this way. See, if you won't understand this, you won't understand it, you won't understand. You don't.
Hey, Rook.
Fucking
Chief
hell.
wants to see
Hang
you
on.
in his office.
Fucking hell. This is what we're doing. You won't understand. You won't understand. Where am I looking? This one. Look at this guy. Look at this fucking Joker on this side. Look at this dude. Look at him. What an absolute Joker. He's got my stream happening down here. And he was just like pinching me. Get out of here. You know what? There we go. Done. He's on one today. Oh, fuck it. All right, whatever. If you there we go. There's a little bit of a shout out for Daniel.
Okay. So now what? Keep following the blood? What's this? Fucking Jesus shit fuck.
Beautiful. Hey Ken, how you doing? What a doofus. Classic. What is he doing? Vibing to music, probably. Jesus. He just tried to plug your game, but called it Underneath Paris. What a holy shit. Hope you've been well, mate. Good to see you catch a stream. Ken, I've been past month. I've been pretty chocked up. But I'm doing better now. I had early pneumonia. But I'm good. I'm good now. Looks like Beneath Paris is above Dan. Fuck, he's on one tonight, isn't he? Jesus. Tonight or today? Both. All right. We're just going to jump back into the game. Holy smokes. Underneath Paris. Jesus. She has Danny up and I have you up.
In any case, we're going to need to keep this quiet,
Mandy and Fishy.
even here in the shop.
Always so
It's not
lovely.
for general consumption.
Got it.
Ah, Cordell, come in. I want you to meet Detectives Lee and Ferreira, our top investigators working the organized crime beat.
Heard about your baptism by fire at the bank the other day.
Yeah, Log 200 more like that, and you'll be a real Averno cop.
I don't know. Look at him. I think he's got it in his bones. It's good to meet you, Cordell.
Why is
You
he
and Pop
talking
was
like
one
that?
of my heroes.
My bones.
That'll be all, gentlemen. So, Cordell, it seems your work at the bank the other day turned up a promising lead. We discovered a print on a dropped weapon. It matched someone who wasn't even at the scene. A Mr. Michael McKenzie, rich guy, lives in a mansion on the north side. Tactical paid him a visit a few minutes ago.
Fucking hell.
It seems he was tipped off. Soon as they breached, he sped off out the back. We're scrambling an aerial unit to track the vehicle now.
Excuse me, sir. Bird is fueled, ready for wheels up in 2.
Martinez, this is Officer Cordell. He'll be with you on this operation.
A rookie, sir? Is this the right time for...
It's the right time for you to obey orders, flight officer.
Yes, sir. See you up top, Cordell. We gotta move.
I authorized you on this mission because I was impressed by your performance at the bank, Cordell. Don't make me regret this decision. Now get up there.
Let's go, Rook. We don't got all day.
Fucking hell. All right. Dan's distracted me from the real work. The real... Oh, I get a gun. Oh, I've got to go here. Change equipment. Taser? Don't need it. Oh, wait, no. I do need it. Oh, I need a fire extinguisher. Okay. F? Okay. What am I here for? Oh, no, I've got to go around here. Helipad. Helipad. Amadeus, brother, good to hear you were getting better. I'm much better now. I wasn't before. I was taking 10-ish pills a day, which was exciting and different to me. And I've still got them, but I've got 4 puffers. The doctor basically prescribed me 2 puffers for the first week, which I used 20 times. Says hi. He says Twitch won't let him type in my chat. What? Why can't Grim? Well, that's not cool. That isn't cool at all. Okay. I hope it's Twitch issues. That sucks. Well, tell Grimmy I said hi.
Fenwick intersection 6.
Oh, I'm in a Oh, this is me. I'm driving. Flying? Where am I going? This way. I've got a bunch of puffers that I don't need them anymore. I don't know what to do with them. Just chuck them out or what? Where am I going? Oh, there it is. This way. He's turning. Got him. Yeah. Has he got to be in the spotlight? Okay, yep. Okay, yep, we're good. I called for backup. Yeah, we're good. Fuck him up. Oh, yeah, good.
Roger.
Yep. Returning chemist for disposal. Okay. Even if they're full though?
I need some backup.
I've basically got... I actually asked if you have any plans to make a nudity base game. No. There's no plans for nudity based games at all. Oh, if they're full, just hang on to them? Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I've got 3 full ones, and this one I've only used like 20 times. I've never had to use puffers before, so the mannequins were naked. I guess that's true. Spike strip.
Dispatch, I need backup here.
Where's the spike strip going?
Received.
Oh.
Confirmed. Spike strip deployed.
The spike strip did nothing though. Got him. Nice. Oh, it's only a one and done? Okay. Okay, cool. I did have fun though. Playing around. That's a shame. He's going to call it Underneath Paris. He's been working on the model of the main antagonist, stripper named Paris. I swear to God, Sada. Okay, good. Where will it be set? No, so we'll just have to mod the nudity-free ones, I guess. 100%.
Kelly,
Yeah.
Cordell, a word.
What's shaking, Kowalski?
Why don't you take Cordell out and show him how we handle reckless driving in this town?
By promoting the cops that do it most?
I'm not kidding around, Kelly. We need collars. The mayor's been making noise about quality of life crimes. It's in our interest to show him some numbers on that.
Let me
Hey,
guess.
some
Election
numbers.
year.
Oh, so you
Oh,
wait
this
till you're
is this the one that was
retired
like,
to start paying
hey,
attention to how
coffee.
this city works?
It's
No,
amazing.
no,
almost
no, it
being
wasn't
a
this one. It
civilian
was the
will
other.
be. Come on, Rook. Let's
The
go
other
make
woman.
the streets safe for some local politicians' careers.
Will also feature Bob Mills. Rob Mills. Bob Mills? Who the fuck's Bob Mills? Rob Mills? I don't know who Rob Mills is. I don't know who Bob or Rob Mills is. Should I know who Bob or Rob Mills is? There's no Bob. Only Rob. Should I know who Rob Mills is?
You take the wheel, kid.
The guy from Australian
Well,
Idol
I'll
or
learn
one
this
of them
kind of thing
shows
by
who dated
doing
Paris
yourself.
Hilton briefly. Oh.
On vehicle patrols, you want to keep an eye out for speeders and erratic drivers. Drive
Oh,
slow,
no.
eyes open.
Oh, I
If
can't.
you see someone breaking the law, I'll guide you.
I've got to... yeah, okay, cool.
Hey, you can stroll around
Oh,
in your
no, I
own
don't want
time.
That's not my current... But he needs a ticket. Am I...
Come on, get back in the
Dick.
car.
Yeah, no, I wanted to give a ticket. I'm sorry for actually wanting to be a police officer. Come on,
Get
game.
behind a vehicle to check their speed.
Okay. Limit. Okay. So you're good? No, no. Oh.
Be more careful.
That blue one. That blue one. Surely. No. This blue one? You seem like you're going too fast.
We got
Yep.
a live one, kid. Get behind them and blip the siren and make them pull over.
Oh!
Central, we'll take that.
I didn't mean to do that. Restraining force. Hey.
Check their
No, no.
ID, then issue the fine. In that order.
Yep. Resolve.
Speeding like
Issue
that
fine.
deserves a fine.
84, no infractions on record.
Nice. Take ticket.
Right call.
I didn't know he was just going to stop there. I thought it was... I mean, at least I didn't
Turn that
shoot him.
siren on. We don't need it on right now.
Oh, but why not? Find a speeding vehicle. They're all stopped.
You won't always be able to tell if a car is speeding, which is why we check their speed.
You. How you doing? No, we're good. We're good. Oh, this really doesn't like it when you fucking... I'm sorry, I want to be nicer, but I don't like the police. No, no. Fuck, that's fine. That's fine. How are you, what are you doing? Oh, that fucking brown one was going... Go. Oh, he stopped. He's causing issues?
If you're struggling to find speeders, the highways are a good bet.
No, no. Yeah, we're
Same
good.
routine as before.
Pull the fuck
Get on
over.
that tail and blip the siren. On our way, dispatch.
I was so
Go
close.
check. Go
Look
check
at that.
your
Look how
ID,
close I am.
But don't issue a fine just yet.
Central, requesting a 1029 on the subject.
By the looks of this, I won't. I wouldn't like them in this universe. No.
I smell booze. Ask them
Get
to
out of the
exit
car.
the vehicle and then perform a breath test.
Okay.
Now
There's
ask
a
them
lot.
to blow into the breathalyzer.
You're fucked.
You just got your
Resolve.
first DUI, partner. Go ahead.
Get out of
wait
here.
The arrest.
And then can I find the fucking car as well? I would like to find the car. But no, I want to find... Oh, okay. Fuck, there's a lot right here just for one dude. Surely I could have taken him. There's a lot right now happening. Enter your... But... No, I don't want to request a tow. Hey! Fuck off. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Okay, I'm stuck. There we go. Fucking cop. He's seriously getting him for doing 57 and a 55. No, it was because he was drunk. He was drinking. This yellow car. Fuck. It was because he was drunk. You.
Speeders are out in force today.
Oh, fuck.
You, kid. Don't let him get away.
I don't have a thing. Oh. He's evading the cops. We're good.
Assistance is available.
He's back up. Yep. Go. Oh my god, he's fucking... Go. He's just killed 2 people. You're probably drunk too. Look how you have 100%.
Find the civilians.
No, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Do I have to do all of that again? No. No, it's different. It's different though, Zach. Trust.
You won't always be able to tell if a car is speeding, which is why we check their speed.
It's just starting to think you're not a good cop. Yeah, well, maybe I'm not a good cop. I mean, I did shoot a bunch of people. He was doing 60. Fuck off. No. Nah. He was doing 60, and then I hit him. Why is there so many fucking red lights? Yeah, you're good. You're good. 34 and a 55. That's dangerously low, dude. This white car.
If you're struggling to find speeders, the highways are a good bet. You're only
mean?
to use the siren in emergencies.
Yeah, he was speeding for like a second. I'm a really vigilant cop. Didn't mean to press that. You get 43. Yep, you're fine. Where's the speeders? You look like you're speeding. I'm on him. Fuck.
Get
Doing
behind a
circles.
vehicle to check their speed.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one that's speeding. Well, there's one speeding the other way. Are any of these speeding? That's a red light. Doesn't matter. Ugh. Why did I have to hit the 2 people? We had a highway patrol guy that would tell us where he was and his mates set up. We could go zoom in on bikes without worry. Oh, that's nice. Fuck. That taxi speeding. Oh, you're dead. You're dead, mate. Get over here.
Speeders are out in force today. All you kids.
Fucking taxi. All right, come here, champ. Oh. Get over here. Fuck.
We have units on standby if required. Suspect
Yeah, no, we're good.
vehicle identified in
Go.
Springwood.
Need backup at my location.
Received.
Fuck, he's just hitting people.
Arrest him.
You have the right to remain silent.
There we go. Oh, that's all. That's his rights. That's all it was. Check
Dispatch,
ID.
I need a warrants check on an ID.
Checking database for records. 84, no infractions on record.
Fuck, he's not even
they're sober.
drunk. Resolve.
What
What
say
a
we
rest you
run
do.
this one downtown ourselves? You got this, kid?
No, actually, damn it. I want to get in the car. Let me get in the car. I want to. Don't be like this.
Suspects need
Oh no,
to
I've
go
got
in
to
the vehicle.
get in. We're good. All right. Jesus. All right, we're fine. We're good. We're on our way. Get out of the way. Fucking hell. Jesus. The really hard to turn sometimes. All right. Get out.
Get the detainee from the back seat and take him inside.
Yep. Come on. You're going away for a long time, buddy. I did read rights that time. But so far it's been a lot of you do one thing and then go to your desk. Like I haven't been able to do multiple things.
Cordell. Chief wants to see you. He's going
Which
to
is
be
kind
at
of annoying.
Kavanaugh's. I think that's a bar over at the plaza.
Oh, come on. We're about to clock out.
Yeah, I don't write the messages. I just read them.
Come on, kid. Guess I'd rather torpedo my evening than torpedo my pension.
Hey. Oh, wait, no, I could. I can do other things now? Not the end of the day? My car's all good now. Get out of the fucking way. Can I... This car's going the opposite way. Oh, but I can't do anything. I can only do that stuff when my objective is to do police work or something. I find it weird that they've kind of been like, oh yeah, no, you can do all these things, but I guess only when we tell you to. You can do things, but you can't escape the paperwork. Yeah, well, I can't even do the paperwork, apparently, because it's not my objective. Hey. A little speakeasy?
Thanks for joining us.
Oh.
Now that we're all here, I want to introduce you to Antonio. He's got inside information about the August gang, and he's willing to share.
Just out of the goodness of his own heart, huh?
Dear
Let's just say
Sada.
the department has a certain amount of...
Everyone say no, not Sada.
Here.
Or Emperor.
Antonio is opting to
This
act
may be
in
the
his own
tutorial
self-interest.
tutorial period, perhaps. Yeah, I think it is, but it's just weird that they even give you the option.
Find me in your shoes.
They should have, like, it should have just been like, yeah, you can just do it, because it doesn't really matter.
Antonio says he can give us the leader of the August gang.
It just feels very restrictive right now.
Question mark.
Oh,
You saying I can start over? What a fucking relief.
Costa.
Oh, yeah? And where do we find this Mr. Costa?
He's holed up in the steel mill. That's been the August gang's main base for the past 2 months.
I've mobilized a SWAT unit for tonight. We don't want to risk them moving again, and I'm worried we have some loose lips in the precinct.
No time like the
Ooh,
present.
some loose lips.
Cordell and Kelly, I want you there with Ferreira and Lee as part of the backup squad. Let's suit up and load out. Antonio.
I thought I only got one life,
appreciate you
one
risking your
opportunity.
skin
Eminem
for
lied.
this intel.
Oh, anything for our boys in blue.
Yeah, whatever you say. Rara, you ready?
You bet your ass.
I feel like these guys are in on whatever it is. They're real sus. Oh, I'm
Hold
just.
this position by the door and watch for runners. These goons aren't expecting us, so we should catch them off guard. Breach team, begin your approach.
You're right. They'll never expect the fucking 2 police cars. You're right.
According to our source, he's in a red jacket. On my mark, 3, 2, 1.
Where am I going?
Mark.
Yeah, bad night to be wearing it. Yeah. Oh, enter the steel mill. Okay. I'm going in, partner. There's nothing you can say to stop me. I'm going in solo. Fuck you. It's just me. Okay.
He's in a red jacket. That's your guy.
Oh.
Remember,
Holy
we
shit.
need him alive. He's running.
He's shooting! Oh, that's a police officer!
I need my help. Stand down, Officer Marty. I'm ordering you. No, you can't. You can't do it. I'm gonna hand in my badge and gun, but there's nothing you can stop me.
Take him down!
Jesus Christ.
Suspect is down.
I want to get you. Oh, that was a headshot. I want to move forward.
Fired. Central. Suspect is neutralized.
It can be restocked. You're, okay, yeah, but I'm not there. As you can see. Oh! I've only got.
Take him down!
Drop the weapon.
Drop it. Oh. Oh, didn't mean. No. Ooh.
Shots fired!
Oh, these are terrible aim. Oh, I got two for one.
Hands up now.
I ain't scared of no cop.
Police officer, no one moves. This is your only warning.
Oh, red jacket's getting away. You get the button.
Take him down!
No, you don't need to. No, he's good.
Right,
We're good.
that's enough.
Jesus, stop trying to shoot him. Just
Central,
fucking arrest him.
suspect is in handcuffs.
Central, requesting a 1029 on the subject.
Received. Checking now. Nothing flagged in the system. They're clear.
Which items? You have ammo? Home, library card. Key card.
Good
Possession.
catch.
Resolve. Arrest.
He's running.
Okay. You. No, I need ammo. There's ammo over here and over there. Okay, cool. Restock. Thank you. Oh, I can cover bodies. Suspect is in handcuffs. Surely this isn't my job. I'm just mid. Okay, full coroner. Full coroner. Full coroner. Full coroner.
Copy that.
Full coroner.
Dispatch requesting coroner.
I'm not leaving any witnesses.
Acknowledged. Backup en route.
Central, we have a deceased on scene. Corner pickup needed.
Everyone gets bagged and tagged, boys.
Dispatch, Unit 84. Fatality confirmed. Request to examine a transport.
Tag him and tag him.
10-4.
You. Okay, I think I got away with that one. The first one. Alright, we're chasing a red jacket. Don't know what he's done. Don't know who he is, but we're chasing him. Oh, fuck, he's on. Is it just me chasing him? Yeah, okay. I think we're going to tase him. I can get close enough. Yep. So close. Fuck. Oh, they're waiting for me. Oh, good. Ooh. Dead. Dead. We're good. Yep, we're good. Oh no, I didn't mean for that. Oh shit. He's bum rushing me. Nice. 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 Nice.
Stop there.
Nice. 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 Yeah.
You have the right to remain silent.
Got him. Nothing but tased.
Control,
Take ID.
check this one for priors.
Checking database for records. Search
He's got a
return
warrant.
with an active warrant.
What have you got? Have dice on him. Casually. Casually have dice. How much tasing cannot be good for one man? 100% Stacy. there was a lot of electricity running through his veins.
Just
Cool.
relax, will you?
Alright, get in my car. Okay. And then we're just getting in. Hey, you,
Got a
stop.
good long while to make trouble out here. Now you're gonna be with us for a good while longer.
You got the wrong guy.
Tell it to the judge, numbnuts.
Oh. Oh. Fucking cock. Come on. No, we're good. Alright. Get out. Get out of my car. Yeah, man. Perfect. Sign him. Book him, boys. Processed. Get out of here. Get him out of here. He makes me sick. Go to the briefing room. Oh, there's going to be more chitter chatter. I just want to be a cop. I want to go around and...
All right, officers. Organized crime has finished their initial sweep of the steel mill. They have confirmed it was the August Gang's primary base of operations. The DA is satisfied that we have enough evidence to prosecute Matthew Costa as the leader of the organization.
That mean we finally get a little peace and quiet around here?
You know how this works, Sergeant. We take down one scumbag, the rest scramble to fill the void. My gut says the other gangs will be out in force in the coming days, trying to become the new kings of the hill. Our job is to stop them. But that's for tomorrow. Tonight, we sleep the sleep of the just. Good work, all of you. Dismissed. Except you, Cordell. My office.
You feeling funky fresh? Fresh and funky. Speak to the chief.
Your father would have been proud of what you did today, Cordell. I know he inspired you to enlist in the ACPD. And if that motivates you to be a good cop, I'm all for it.
Plus. You son of a bitch, Daniel. There we go. Thank you, sir.
I've been meaning to clear the air about something else as well.
We're not arresting anyone
You
at the
might have
moment.
heard things, but I want you to get it straight from me.
We've arrested
The
some guy in a
department
red
did
jacket.
everything we
Apparently
could
he was a
to
bad
track
dude.
down your father's killer.
I never saw him do
I
anything
headed the
bad.
investigation myself, but on a case this big, in a town this dirty, No one wants to step forward for fear of catching a bullet of their own. Was it random, intentional, someone sick in the head? We just don't know. But those are the risks we sign up for every day we put on this uniform. Trying to figure it all out will just drive you crazy. Like I said, your father would have been proud to see you in that uniform, and he would have wanted you to focus on keeping the city safe. Speaking of which, I want you to start working with Detectives Ferreira and Lee on your next shift. They're going to have their hands full with the garbage that will show up and try to fill the August Gang's shoes. And I have a feeling they'll be keeping you more than busy. Dismiss, Cordell.
Thanks, Chief. But I don't want to do it anymore. Here's my gun. Here's my badge. I'm a loose cannon. Oh, okay. So now we get into the game. This is the game. I swear we got the title at the very start. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh. I didn't even know there were bridges. Okay. Cool. What's this black guy doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. Okay. We're good. Yep. Get me back into the game. Any moment now. Still hate how like it. I'm not sure if you can see it on stream. Or is that the game? Oh, maybe. Maybe this is the outro, and we'll get the credits soon. I wonder if they paid for this song. And they were like, "Oh man, this song is to their standard. Oh, it's a really good song. We need to put it somewhere. Where's somewhere that we can spend a good minute to 2 minutes to 3 minutes to just put it?" And they're like, "Oh no, it can't be at the credits because no one watches the credits. Let's put it as a cutscene right at the start of the game." What does this mean? Oh, is that my dad? That took me ages to get to my dad. I'm assuming that's him. It's a very cool looking game and a cool kind of concept. Yeah. I think... Like, inside job. I knew it. It's the two detectives that I'm working for. Surely. They're both scum.
I wish I could say otherwise, but it's a royal mess out there today. Chandler, Sayers, take Brookhaven.
You got it, boss.
Christie, Selby, make sure things stay on the rails in the east.
On it.
Cordell, Kelly, Chief wants you to have a chat with Detectives Lee and Ferrara before you set out on patrol.
Will do, Kowalski. What do you know, kid? They got you talking to the detectives already. You must be doing something right.
No, I killed so many people. Not by choice. A couple of them were accident. Where am I going? Chief, he's over here. Oh, detective.
Hey, Cordell, Kelly, it's good to see you. Yeah. We're going to be ramping up our gang enforcement in the coming days based on some strong leads we've been getting, and we wanted to loop you in.
The two.
This is how they're lined up in the room as well. They don't face each other.
My little problem.
They face the wall as they talk.
Crimson Serpent. Those dopes are being handled by Detective Lee.
While you're out on the beat, we want you to keep your eye out for gang members committing crimes. Once you've resolved the immediate situation, be on the alert for any additional evidence they might have dropped.
If you're able to arrest a gang member, you can also find additional clues by searching them. To take these gangs down, we're gonna need enough evidence to make the charges stick.
For now, you can leave the paperwork to us. When you find something, take it to Eugene up in the evidence room. You'll link it to our active cases and keep us posted. Once we get enough evidence, we can try to take down the leaders.
cops
Chief says
and
he
detectives
wants
would
you
ever do this, right?
negotiating, but not
The
so
detectives
deep
would
it's
never
over
be
your
like,
head.
yeah, you guys
This
do all
might
the
be
fun
biggest
stuff and we'll do
operations
all the
Precinct
paperwork.
runs, but we still need
Surely it
worker
would be like
bees
the
to
other way
take
around,
care
right?
of the nitty-gritty.
Detectives would do all
That's
the,
where you
you
come
know,
in.
fun stuff
You're
and then
on
be
what
like,
we like to call
I'm
run
too,
around and
I
deal with
get
crap
paid
we
too
don't
much
wanna
to do the
deal with.
paperwork.
Like talking to that scumbag Antonio.
Antonio says he'll pass us info at particular times and places. He'll go pick it up for us. Sometimes it'll be at Kavanaugh's. If he can't make it there, he'll call a prearranged payphone. He says it's the only way he can stay safe. What a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but thankfully for us, he's your pain in the ass. You want to wear the blues? You gotta pay your dues.
We all did it coming up.
Damn right. Oh, while you're up, go ahead and take this to Eugene in the evidence room. He'll talk you through his organization system.
I think the one thing that I'm disliking at this so far
Hey, Cordell. Thanks for bringing this in.
is just
I guess
so
now's
much
a good time
talking.
to talk you through how I keep
Just
track of
want
the
to go out
evidence.
and do cop
Take a look.
things.
Averno's gangs all have a hierarchy. We don't want to go after the big boss before we can make the charges stick. To do that, we need evidence. As you gather materials from crime scenes, I'll track the evidence against the gangster's photo. When the detectives think we have enough to make a case, they'll put together an operation to bring them in. We work our way up the chain. We get the low-level guys, and they lead us to the captain. We get the captain, and they lead us to the underboss. Eventually, we'll have enough of a foundation to target the gang's boss, arrest them, and shut down the gang for good.
Got it. Completely.
That Crimson Serpent evidence you just gave me is now logged in the right spot. Bring me
Good.
more, and we'll start filling out the picture.
You got it?
Not all of the evidence you gather will be related to the gangs, but anything that connects to an active gangster will end up in here, logged against the appropriate person.
Yep.
Good luck out there.
Thanks. Oh my, do I have to? I don't want to speak to anyone else.
You ready to get going on Crimson Serpent?
I've been ready for
Tell me what
long.
you know about them.
The Serpents have been a player in Averno's drug and arms trade for a few years. Used to be all Chinese, but these days, the place is a regular melting pot. Leader's name is Charles Wong. He tries to play himself off as an upstanding local business leader, but we all know he's got a broader definition of business than most people. Guy's slippery as hell, but he keeps his hands clean. And his profile high just to spite us.
Pretty much. I don't want to press it just in case, but like
How's the
I just,
investigation going?
it's just I don't care about their investigation.
People to get a whole lot less civilized so we could take the gloves off. But that's me.
I just want to be a
I
cop.
used to be in tactical.
I want to
miss the
go.
adrenaline.
I want to go find
These days,
people.
it's more paperwork and
All I
less
wanna
background
do.
checks for me, but you get us the goods on these guys, you better believe we're rolling in hard. Our first order of business is Gia Weaver. New to the scene, but very arrogant. Looking to make a name for herself. You keep an eye out for evidence. I'll see if we can link it to her.
Report to watch me. Oh my god. Okay. Patrol. I've got this area here. Resolve 3 crimes. Okay. This is cool. I like that. Start the shift. Surely I started the shift when I started talking to people. Alright, there we go. Let me out. I gotta drive. During a duty shift, you'll be expected to patrol your designated zone. Respond to call outs from the dispatch. Remain. Okay, yep. Cool. Now I've got to drive. Oh, it's just me. I don't have my buddy. Oh, no, I do. Okay. He just decided to be late. Late as usual. Fuck, I thought that said Potato Hill for a second there. Alright, no one's parking here. I'm gonna park here and not fill the meter. Are we looking here? No one's... We good? We good? What happens if you start running people over? It restarts. Restarts the day or shift or something. It's, yuck, rats everywhere. Haven't seen a rat. Violation. Oh, it is too close to a crossing, but it is on the sidewalk. All right. Going through Chinatown.
All units, we've got a 911 report of a 1031 burglary in progress in Chinatown.
Oh, except, yep.
84, Adam. Show us handling.
Affirmative.
Wait there.
Oh, fuck, he's on me. Taser. On this? Taser. Get tased. Get tased. Get tased.
Chaser!
What do you mean? Use appropriate force. Excuse me? He was going to beat the fuck out of me. Suspect injured unlawfully, and I lost XP for it. Did they want me to stop it? Injury. Did they want me to stop it or just let him steal the TV or whatever? He wasn't injured. He was just very electrocuted. Is that a domestic down there? Not on my watch.
Central,
You okay,
please
buddy?
be advised of a 1010 underway.
Fucking hell.
Dispatch to 84, message received.
Control, we're on it.
No, I tried to restrain. He's got a knife? He's gonna stab me.
Hold still, damn it.
Oh no, I've got to... Okay, no, I've got to keep on pressing C because... Fucking... No.
You got this, partner.
Hook 'em and book 'em, kid.
Get restrained. Get restrained.
You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah. You're on the ground.
You have the right to remain silent. Dispatch, I need an ID check.
Received. Checking now. All clear on that search. No criminal history.
Cool. I'm...
Well,
You got drugs.
looky here.
He's got a weapon. Resolve. Before arresting or finding, select the offenses to charge them with. Oh. Add offense. Possession crimes. Narcotics. Illegal weapon. Okay, those stay. Okay, cool. And then arrest. And then full escort unit. Oh, and that person's just getting taken away. So I don't get to do that person? Okay. You're graffitiing. Not on my turf.
No loitering,
Spray
folks.
can bandits in action.
Can I help you?
Get fucked.
10-4.
Yeah, you give up?
Dispatch to
Consider
84,
that.
message received.
You get a big fine. Fucko.
84, no infraction.
Oh, he looks like that actor. From Walking Dead. Yeah. I don't know what the actor's name is. Add offense. On foot crime? Vandalizing. But you just get a fine. I'm gonna seize that though. You can't do that anymore. Is that a drug? Drug bust. No, my turf.
Nothing to see over here.
Oh, okay. I didn't do nothing. Da mercy. You just...
Attention units, we have reports of a street fight
I'm on it.
occurring in
I'm on it.
Bakersfield.
No, but there's this one. Respond within 20 seconds. No, I've already done it.
Copy.
Oh. Oh, no.
Derelict vehicle here. Request
Issue.
record of junkyard for crush.
On sidewalk.
Understood.
Go. No, I got 10 seconds. No, I'm on it. Lethal force.
84 Adam, be advised, pickup task completed.
Fuck. Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Suspect KIA.
I will shoot you.
Stop resisting.
Book 'em, Dano.
Got it. Let's try.
You have the right to remain silent.
Killed one. Yep. Okay. Check
Dispatch,
ID.
I need an ID check.
Received. Checking now. Nothing flagged in the system. They're clear.
Ah,
Yeah.
contraband.
Resolve had offenses possession. You had a weapon, and for that, you're going away for a long time, buddy. Buddo. Call escort. What else can do with you? Okay, we are going to wrap you up. I don't know how do I put a gun away though? Mouse keyboard. Holster weapon, tab, of course. That makes the most sense. Coroner.
Dispatch,
Coroner.
Unit
Coroner.
84. Fatality
On your way.
confirmed.
On your
Request
hop.
examine a transport.
Roger.
Move along.
We are observing an individual illegally dumping trash.
Copy that.
On full chrome. Littering. You just get a fine. Okay. I'll get towed over there. We're all good on this street. Alright. What's happening down here? Anything?
No loitering, folks.
All units,
I'm on
immediate
it.
support requested in Litchfield.
Unit 84 in transit control.
Roger.
There's a gun. He's shooting.
Target is down.
Okay. Oh. Oh, I don't like that at all.
Dispatch, we've stabilized the patient. Ready
Full
for
ambulance.
transport.
Received.
We've got a fatality here.
No, that's all right, car. That's all right. Green car. You keep on trying to fucking move.
Roger.
Can I turn this off, or is that just going to keep on going? Oh, that was not what I was needed for. I should have taken my car. This is going to be ridiculous. I'm getting there. I'm on my way.
What are you waiting for? Let's go!
Yeah, I'm go. Oh my god. Oh, they're also running. Wait. Oh no, I need my car. It's so far away. Oh my god. Alright.
All units, scene secure. Return to prior assignment.
I did a lot there. I can't see what this parking meter is. Is that good? We're good. Alright. Easy.
Central, we got a trash tosser.
Acknowledged.
Central, we'll take that.
Dispatch, I need a warrants check on an ID.
He's aggressive.
Checking database for records.
Pull him out of the car, beat him up.
All clear on that search. No criminal history.
Hook 'em and book 'em, kid.
You have the right to remain silent.
Oh, I didn't want to. No, I wanted to just breathalyze. She's just
Okay,
aggressive
they're
for
sober.
no reason. Okay. Oh,
What have we got here?
classic. Open the boot. What's in the boot? My God. Nothing. Just as what I suspected. Resolve. Out of fence. You have counterfeit goods And I don't know if that is an arrestable offense or if that is a fine. I am going to say fine. Failure to arrest. It was an arrest. Ah, fuck me. I guess anything that's counterfeit is an arrestable offense. How am I meant to know that? Is that in the possession crimes? It says here, issue fine. Mandatory actions, issue fine. I did that. Oh, wait. Yeah, goods. Counterfeit goods, issue fine. Then on foot. Oh, this is laid out terribly. Yeah, I'm not looking. Not looking. Alright, let's hop over this. Hooroo. There's a blue mark here on my mini map. I wonder, that's where that dude tagged the wall. I wonder if it's something that I can... No. Oh, is it? No, I can't. Okay. What's with that animation? Praise. Praise. Open.
Oh,
Praise.
time to clock out.
Oh, okay. I've got to clock out. Okay. Okie dokie. And there's other cops down in this area too. Music in this is pretty chill, actually. Alright. Let us return to the precinct. And try not to kill anyone. I'm a cop. I don't need to... No, out of the way. We're good. I'm a cop. Fine. All good. We good? We hunky-dory. In we go. We got a clock off of my shift. Cool. Wait. Or conduct. Stupid. Yeah, recruit 2. Upgrade token. Exciting. I'm going to say there. On shift foot location. Plaza. Yeah, okay. Is this how much XP these people get? Why are they getting XP? Okay. Very cool. How do I use my upgrade token? I got an upgrade token. What can I upgrade? Is it cool stuff? Oh, it's going to be more dialogue, isn't it?
Listen up, everyone. Before you get to your regular assignments, we have a special guest who needs our help, and he wanted to talk to you about it himself. This is Spencer Sharp.
Spencer I. Sharp, madam.
Oh, my
It's him, isn't it?
Spencer I. Sharp.
He's an asshole.
Mr.
Look at him.
Sharp is the curator at the Averno City History Museum, and he's got a situation on his hands.
Hello, officers. I come to you with news of a serious crime. Several artifacts from the museum have gone missing.
Okay.
20 in all.
20.
They stole them out of the exhibits?
Some, yes. About
Bow and
half
tie.
were
Or is that
stolen
an,
from out in the open.
is that an
The
ascot
rest
scarf?
were taken
Maybe.
from our
But then,
vault, which
what is it?
means that
In
whoever they
movies,
offered
it's always the
knew what
English
they
guy
were
that's the
doing,
bad guy.
and somehow managed to get their hands on
He's
a set
English.
of keys.
Got any suspects?
I have no earthly idea who would do such a thing. And to tell you the truth, I'm more concerned with finding the lost items than I am with apprehending the culprit.
Okay, you heard the man.
English
Keep
about
your
heard it
eye
first.
out for any
Fuck,
of this
fuck,
stuff
no.
as you move around the city. Then bring it in, get
No.
it to Eugene, and we'll send it back where it belongs.
Thank you, officers. Averno City's legacy depends on you.
Weird vibes. Cool. Okay. Use a vehicle to patrol the streets. Oh, that's a huge area. This is a 10-hour shift.
Back on the grind.
Back on the grind. Who's it? Was that me that said that? My character, or is that another character?
Unit 84, investigate a suspicious object that has been observed at the rear of the ACB bank.
The bomb. Fuck, it's foggy today. Dan's been hitting the vape so hard, it's fogged up this entire fucking city. Do I have to drive? Yeah, okay. No, taters. Everyone's saying, no, taters. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Central, we've located the item. Property of Averno Museum. Doesn't look particularly dangerous. Looks like we need a 4-digit code.
Look for a clue. Of course. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be too predictable, but what is the flip side? 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa. This key unlocked Harry. Jesus, hang on, I've got to switch over here. Harry Reefsedge's cellar, sheltering locals during the 1786 pirate raids. Despite his execution by occupiers, the key represents the islanders' unity and resilience. Congratulations, you found my little clue. How does it feel to be the only non-incompetent policeman in Averno City? No matter. You're one step closer to solving the mystery. The mystery of why a lowly museum employee would hold his employer's finest artifacts for ransom. Okay. Groovy. Was Chip trying to lay there? Oh, okay. Alright, cool. Oh. Onwards. Let's check out these meters, huh? You're close. What about you? You're close too. Go for a walk. Yep. Nothing's happening here. It's all gonna be.
First responders, I have a civilian struck by a vehicle on Fenwick East.
Oh no!
We need my car. Get out of the way.
Acknowledged.
We're in. Come on, out of the way. Out of the way, fuckers. Someone's injured.
Where did you learn to drive?
I'm here to save him.
Even pressure. You got this.
Cool. Got it. Did I run them over with my fucking car? 100%. Civilians injured. No, I didn't. Rude.
HQ, this is Kelly. I need a plate check.
Received. Checking now.
Why'd you stop?
84. Individual is a known felon.
Are you
Get
kidding?
wanted. 84, Adam. Show us handling.
Hey! Son of a bitch. No, no. Get in. Jesus. Runs over civilian. Ah, new mission. Ah, yes. Perfect. Out of the fucking way. Choo choo. Oh my god. We're going to back streets.
Suspect vehicle was last seen on Fenwick intersection 5.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Fuck, they turned around. Oh, we're good. They went this way. We're good. We got him again. Fine.
Suspect vehicle last spotted in Richberry Park.
Get tighter to the suspect.
Yeah, I'm trying, bud. Oh, where are you going? Where are you going?
Support is standing by.
Dispatch, we need backup here.
Acknowledged. Suspect vehicle was last seen in Litchfield.
Oh. Where are you going? Go, go, go.
Suspect vehicle last spotted on Fenwick intersection 6.
Jesus.
Assistance is available.
Need backup at my location.
Get rid.
Roger.
Get rid. Good pursuit.
Suspect
Thanks.
vehicle identified on Fenwick intersection 4.
Got him. All right.
You have the right to remain silent. Control, check this one for priors.
Fucking hell.
Checking now.
What a nutcase.
Search returned with an active warrant.
Is he going to have anything on him? No. Breathalyzer. 0. You're just an asshole.
this so
You know what? Unlock the trunk. Let's have a look. I want to see. Right,
Good
Snuggles, you're
catch.
fucked. You're fucked. You're going down for a long time, buddy. Resolve. Out of fences. What do we got? We have... he appears annoyed. Okay, so here we've got vehicle search. Vehicle... No. Vehicle crime? I guess... Hard? No. Okay. Motor vehicle theft. So... Oh no, I've got to... Fuck, I've got to... No, once they're done, that's it. Fuck. They're wanted for burglary. Fucking. Hey, Scotchy, how we doing? Thank you for subbing. You didn't need to. Hey, you're that guy in the Danger Dan background. Sick. Fuck, has he still got me in the background? Oh, no. Oh, no. Good. Jesus. How you doing, Scotchy? Hey, hope you're doing well. How's your day? Forgot about that. I forgot about that. Jesus. I'm alright, man. Day was chill. That's good. Saw Spider-Man got sun. That's right. You did see Spider-Man. When Zuna's feeling much better, I think we're gonna go see it. We're pretty excited. From what Stas was saying, it feels different. Still very obviously Spider-Man, but it's just a little bit more. It's different. So very excited, very excited. But glad you had a chill day, man. You deserve a chill day after all your hard work as well. Also, if there's anyone here that's not following Scotchy, again, easiest blind follow. Go do it. Don't even need to watch any of his streams or see anything that he does. Just follow him. He's amazing. Now, this dude, he's wanted for burglary. Where the fuck is Cool. Alright, you're gonna be... yeah. Sorry, bud, but you might be going away for a bit because of the incorrect offenses. Feels more like the game, honestly. Honestly, you're a racist. Yeah, dude, I think the first guy that I shot was black and I didn't mean for it. There was 2 white people walking across, and when I shot, he was aiming for them. They walked past, and they got the dude. And as the screen faded out, that's when I saw it, and I was just like, oh, oh no.
Multiple reports of a 1034 street brawl.
I think I looked at Zuna, and Zuna's just like, what? And I'm like, oh.
Central, we'll take that.
Anyway.
Copy that.
And then I've ran over accidentally a bunch of people, so it's in. Fuck.
You have the right to remain silent.
Always threaten to run them over. Super.
Dispatch, I need a warrants check on an ID.
They were just going to start shooting me if I got out. Oh, you already chuck it? You're not going to do anything, or you already did?
Records indicate prior criminal activity.
Aggravated drop. Okay, cool. Marty, ACAB maxing. Fucking hell, dude. Oh. And then that last dude you saw, I accidentally gave him 2 charges that he wasn't meant to have, so he's going away for a long, long time. I'm honestly still not sure what you're meant to be doing, I mean, besides running people over. So I've got to resolve a certain amount of dispatches or crimes in the area, and then I don't know. What are you doing? Wait, don't be weird. This reminds me of a Facebook post I saw yesterday. It was just a photo of some chicken. It was like, careful, she's dangerous. So I went into the comments and someone said, you should have been swallowed at birth. Like, I don't think that's what you mean. Fucking hell. Accidentally. No, it was accidentally. Fuck him up, Chip. Be weird. No, it's not me. He's trying to, like... He's laying down. He's just resting, but he was twisted backwards and his head was, like, wedged between the wall and my desk. I don't know. Weird. Don't suppress Chip's freedom. No. I'll suppress him all I want. It's the cop in me, babe. He's doing a crime. He's gonna do the time. Just swallowing entire babies. Play cop game once, already suppressing freedoms. There's cops in you? Yes. Yes, there is. Evading arrest. No. Warrant for aggravated assault. Assault. Probable cause for... Oh, okay, it tells me. Because I have just been hoping for the best with these ones. Alright. Now, old mate put a guy in the car. Am I to take him places or what? How do you think he avoids all those tickets? Wait a second. Wait. You.
Wrap it up, partner.
No, not what I wanted. Issue parking ticket. Too close to crossing. Fuck you, buddy. Not in my town. Oh, I meant to return a precinct. And here I am, just go. Speed limit. Fucking hell.
32 carjacking in progress.
Jesus. All right, we're on the way.
Received.
You're fucked.
Control, we're
You're
on.
Oh, all in a day's work. Yes. All right. Jesus. Well, how much did you just cost the city in repairs then? Oh, I don't know. It should really say, honestly. Every time I destroy something, it should just be like, yeah, $100. Oh no, fuck it. Hold on. Daddy's hungry. Yep. Yeah. Been a big day. Into a shift. Perfect. Perfect time, and look at that. Urban cleaner. I've got upgrade tokens. How the fuck do I use them? Me. At the bottom. Classic. Classic. So I've got... Right, how do I... Surely there's a... Oh, here we go. Upgrades. That one's... No, this one. Do that. Nice. Nice. Oh, what's the time? Oh. Oh, okay. It is time. I'm trying to do this thing. I'm trying to do it. Small, condensed streams. Just to it's time explodes. No, countdown. 3, 2, 1. 10 p.m. pops. No poops. No poops. No poops. No, I just I don't know why you're like this, Scotchy. I don't know why you're like this. Big bogs. Huge bogs. The biggest bogs. Fuck. All right. No, I really enjoyed that. I think if there was less talking at the start, I would have... Pause ad. Yes. Pause ad. Pause ad? Why do I have to pause the ad? Why am I watching? Pause ad. Dad? Pause ad. Yes, there we go. Hope they're okay. There we go. I just checked himself out. No, it was because I was watching Ali, and then Ali... Ah! This place is a fucking prison. No. At least if and when I get this, I know thanks to you I can skip all dialogue. 100%. You can skip it all. As it gives you nothing. Zero. There's nothing. It's all pointless. No, thank you everyone for dropping by today. Ali for the raid. It's been good to just kind of get back into it. I'll be back on. Hey Sass. Hey Sass. I forgot about that. How you doing, Sass? I forgot. Oh fuck. No, let's see if it works. You can join the Discord if you would like to catch me the schedule. Discord? Got it. There we go. It works. You can join it if you want, but I'll be back on Thursday at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I know we might play some more Precinct, or we might not play some more Precinct. I got a pirate game that's not Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I got what's it called? A town builder. It's called Corsair Cove. I might be playing that. Maybe. We'll see how we go. No, not Windrose. Corsair Cove. It's like a town management game. And you build a little pirate city of pirates. Sea of Thieves? Monkey Island. No. Tech Arts. What the fuck did you do? Gifts Arts. You son of a bitch. What is this? What's this? What the bedazzled. Disgusting. Disgusting behavior. Pillage my booty. Ali, does it have pirates? It does have pirates. I think. I haven't played it. I hate it. That's gross. Gross and disgusting, and you should be ashamed. I know, that's not the worst thing. But no, I'll be back on Thursday. 10 p.m. We're gonna raid. I think we all know who we're gonna raid. Raid Danger Dan. But no, thank you everyone for dropping by. It's been good first stream back after the pneumonias and moving. I'm actually pretty happy with how things are here. Stream's looking good. It's clear. I've got a background that's not the kitchen now. And Zunicorn's over here, and you'll never see Zunicorn. Little gremlin over there. They didn't see that. It's okay. But no, thank you, everyone. We are going to raid Mr. Danger Dan. And there's the raid message. You can use whatever raid message you want. Pneumonia raid probably makes the most sense in this. Even Danny Pneumonia. Look, fuck it. You can just say whatever you want. But no, thank you, everyone. And we'll see you Thursday. All right. Night, everybody. Fuck. What's my buttons? There we go. All right. Good night, everyone. Zuna specifically told me to wait till the timer runs out. That's what I'm doing. All right.